to stop for most of the day be limited to 6 hours a day over the north. So stop over the south, limited to 6 hours a day over the north. And then there's this open ended situation where, with the release of each additional 10 hostages, that will extend the ceasefire, the temporary pause, for an additional day. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Your reaction to the deal, as we saw hostages released over the weekend, both Israelis, Thai, persons of Thai extraction who work in Israel,
guy.
as well as, importantly, some Americans.
Well, the thing is, the first release, though, Dan, 4-year-old Abigail, who turned 4 on Friday while she was in captivity, she wasn't part of the deal. But thank God yesterday she was part of the deal, and President Biden celebrated.
Today, she's free, and Jill and I, together with so many Americans, are praying for the fact that she is going to be all right.
I remember her great aunt, because that was the only surviving family member, because her dad died. She went on NBC with Lester Holt and described how the 4-year-old, escaped to somebody's house.
Abigail actually had crawled out from under her father's body and, full of his blood, went to a neighbor and they took her in.
So she's free. She's been reunited with her surviving family members. But we still have 8 Americans, Dan, and one's got a green card, that are still being held hostage. And I just feel like there's no sense of urgency from Biden at all. I mean,
well, the question is, what really was the involvement of the Biden administration in this? Because they were pretty sketchy. Jake from State Department was pretty sketchy with the details over the weekend. And in fact, House Intel Chairman, Representative Mike Turner, a Republican from Ohio, who's the chairman of House Intel, was on Meet the Press yesterday saying this about this hostage exchange.
Right. Well, it's been very curious that the administration is so quick to claim this as a Biden deal. And as you just heard from Jake Sullivan, he continues to say we know every detail, but then he can't answer your questions as to those details. Our expectation is there are 10 Americans that are being held out of the 240 hostages that people who are missing. No one really knows the number. Jake Sullivan was saying that he doesn't even know the number, nor do we know the proof of life. And you would have thought if they're claiming credit, this is a Biden deal, that those are details that we would have conditioned this process through, because the aid that's going into northern Gaza, that's a condition that Hamas required, includes American aid. So obviously, I think everyone's very concerned.
Yeah, it doesn't strike me as a Biden deal primarily. It strikes me as an Israeli Qatar deal. More specifically, and Representative Turner made the additional important point about the location of the hostages. This is complicated, at least insofar as questions we have and answers we don't.
We're not even sure that Hamas has all of the hostages. There are other radical groups within Gaza that might have possession of some of these hostages. We're not sure which ones are alive, where their bodies may be in either Gaza or where Hamas has held them. How will the Red Cross be able to tell us who's alive and who's not? And that is part of certainly the terrible distress that these families go through. People who've been told that their relatives are deceased are now finding they're alive. People who believe they're alive may find out tragic news.
I think he's getting to the point where it's pretty clear that at best America was playing second chair to Israel in the first chair with respect to this deal making.
I mean, does anybody feel like they're living the Carter administration all over again? We have high inflation, high mortgage rates, and Americans being held hostage.
The other thing about this, with respect to Biden and the deal, is the criticism of the deal that this provides advantage to Hamas. This is the pause that they wanted, and it inhibits the prosecution of the war against Hamas by Israel. I understand that, but I also, just to address that, because, we've had people, Alex Berenson and others, Bolton, unsurprisingly, critical of the deal. But you also have to understand the kind of pressure the Israeli government is under, not to mention the interest that America has. I certainly have interest in seeing the American hostages returned. And if we have to pay a premium for that in terms of an exchange of women and children, then that's not the biggest deal in the world to me. So, but the pressure they're under with the families, with the optics, against the backdrop of the geopolitics of this, that you see playing out in the streets of major cities and, of course, on college campuses here, I think it's difficult to not make this deal. And I don't know how lasting any advantage or reprieve that the ceasefire provides Hamas for the return of hostages really gets them. I don't think it changes the trajectory of this campaign for the Israelis, and I don't think it changes the outcome either. Probably puts more Israeli soldiers at risk, but that's sort of what you signed up for in these complicated matters.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm just not in that camp. I don't know if people were getting into this discussion over the holiday, but I'm just not in that camp that wants to pick apart this deal. Yes, so only 50 for 150. There's still 200 plus left. We still don't know, as Representative Turner was saying, how many and where all of the Americans are. But this is progress, and progress in the direction we wanted.
And President Biden, according to NBC News, he's working to extend the ceasefire to get more hostages back. So I don't know.
I don't know what that means.
Well, because it's going to expire soon.
We just got done saying that this isn't Biden's deal, and now you're going to repeat what NBC News is reporting.
I'm just saying that he's still holding on hope that he's a maker in this deal, which he's not. But it's the bull jive that he's selling to the American people.
Yeah. Joe in Hoffman Estates.
Hey, good morning, guys. You don't have to really spend much time thinking about how this deal went down if you consider, or if you compare, I should say, to what Ronald Reagan would have done, what would his deal have been, or Donald Trump. And then you can just analyze it from there and say, this is a typical administration that's incompetent.
Thanks for the call, Joe. Biden over the weekend also going back in time to October 7th to suggest the basis. Now, he can't prove it, as you'll hear him say, the basis for the Hamas terrorist attack.
I cannot prove what I'm about to say, but I believe one of the reasons why Hamas struck when they did was they knew that I was working very closely with the Saudis and others in the region to bring peace to the region by having recognition of Israel and Israel's right to exist.
Yeah,
one thinks very highly of oneself, huh?
His argument was that he was going to be instrumental in the construction of a railroad from Riyadh through the Middle East to Europe, connecting the region to Europe, and this was something that Hamas needed to derail because it would bring peace to the region. We'll get Stephen Bucci's reaction to that a little bit later in the show, but to say that strains the bounds of credulity is to understate how silly that statement is. Alex in Hinsdale, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Dan, usually I agree with you on this one. I think that you're not looking at the total picture about having a problem. I can draw a direct line from the $6 billion they gave Iran. They stopped the embargo of their oil to give them $60 billion. And these despot regimes smell weakness. And now Americans have a bigger target on their back. And Hamas absolutely has won this.
Okay, I'm looking at the Iran piece of this. I'm not missing it. But the issue is, what do you want to do to get Americans out and other hostages, but Americans first, from my perspective? Again, with the administration that you have, not the administration you wish you had, the administration you have, the administration that was part of the administration that provided a glide path to a nuclear Iran, which is where you actually start to draw the dots, not just the recent $6 billion. It comes a decade earlier. So you're not seeing the whole picture, actually. So this is what we have, and we have to deal with what we have the best we know how in order to get what we want, which first and foremost is the hostages out, and then secondly is to have Israel finish the job on Hamas best it can. I mean, nobody's Pollyannish about the Iran role here. Mike Turner actually addressed it, again, House Intel Committee Chairman, yesterday on Meet the Press.
Oh, absolutely. And they see it as their proxy. I mean, they state it is. And they state that it is their proxy war against the West.
Should the U.S. take action against Iran if it continues to escalate?
Well, I think we currently are taking action against their proxies.
Direct military action?
I do think against their proxies. I do think that the administration should step up its effort in protecting our own troops in Syria and Iraq who have been subject to attacks from Iranian proxies. But you're right, these are absolutely Iranian franchises, funded, trained, and stood up as terrorist organizations to attack the West.
Yeah, no one is confused about that. No one, this side of the Biden administration is confused about that. But again, the question is, how do you deal on a landscape that's been created by terrible American policy? Particularly the Obama administration policies vis-a-vis Iran and the Middle East. And I think that's a little bit more complicated. We know that in real time, you still don't have the Biden administration imposing and enforcing the sanctions against the Iranian oil exports, which is providing tens of billions of dollars more for them to use to finance terrorist activities. So it's quite frustrating. I mean, I can't prove this, to borrow a phrase from
Biden.
Mr. 10%, the big guy, but I don't know that you would have had a Hamas attack on October 7th had the administration been different. Coming at 5:38, we'll turn our attention locally, not just to the violence over the weekend in Chicago, but also yet another cautionary tale. The closure of the Berlin gay burlesque nightclub. Another case study in the economics of doing business in Chicago at 5:38.
And later, ladies, please don't do that on the beach. We'll explain. But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
Chilly this morning, 24 degrees, wind chills in the single digits. Israel and Hamas appear open to extending a ceasefire in Gaza that started with the deadliest and most destructive terror attack on Israel. A fourth exchange of militant-held hostages for Palestinians imprisoned is planned for later in the day. Arkansas Republican Senator Tom Cotton on Fox News Sunday says the U.S. needs to be open to using troops to get American hostages out of Gaza.
I do think we have to be deferential to the Israeli government and the Israeli Defense Forces about the tactical situation on the ground. But if American military forces are called upon and can provide a viable solution to get out American citizens and the citizens of Israel or other nations, then we have to be open to that.
The White House says President Biden will speak with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu later today. Reaction is coming in over Saturday night shooting in Vermont of 3 students of Palestinian descent. Burlington police say they've arrested a suspect, as Fox's Marianne Raftery reports.
Police say they took 48-year-old Jason Eaton into custody Sunday afternoon. We're told the students were shot while walking along a street Saturday night. One of them is in serious condition. Police are investigating the shooting as a potential hate crime.
Police have not publicly said if they have a motive yet. 3-week-long Portland teachers' strike is over. On Sunday, the school district and union reached an agreement on a tentative deal giving teachers what they wanted: more money. Memorial services for former First Lady Rosalind Carter are set to begin today. The former First Lady will lie in repose in the lobby of the Jimmy Carter Presidential Library in Atlanta. The co-creator of HR Puffin Stuff and other classic kids television shows of the 60s and 70s has died.
If you grew up in the late 60s or early 70s, you're almost certainly familiar with the live-action TV kids shows produced by Canadian brothers Sid and Marty Krofft, often featuring large-headed puppets, high-concept plots, and extensive use of low-budget special effects. They provided costumes and puppets for Hanna-Barbera's Banana Splits, but went on to produce several of their own shows, including H.R. Pufnstuf, Sigmund and the Sea Monsters, and Land of the Lost. Marty Krofft died of kidney failure Saturday in Los Angeles at the age of 86. I'm Scott Carr.
Authorities continue investigating a crash in Oak Lawn that left an off-duty Chicago police officer dead. Cook County Medical Examiner's Office says Edwin Espinoza was killed in a single vehicle accident yesterday morning at 95th and Harlem. A Bedford Park police officer is recovering, shot at a gas station in the 6700 block of South Archer Road. One of the suspects fired several shots at an officer, leaving him hospitalized in stable condition. Police have made 2 arrests. And construction is set to begin today on a migrant base camp in the Brighton Park neighborhood, in spite of safety and environmental concerns. Resident Ricardo Palacio says many don't know how toxic that site actually is.
People did background histories on this site. It was contaminated because it was a railroad track disposal.
Mayor's office says the city is confident the property will be suited for the purpose for which it will be used. Chicago sports. Well, the Nets have won back-to-back games following a 118-109 win over the Bulls at Barclays Center. The Blues had 3 goals in the first period in a 4-2 win over the Blackhawks at the United Center. And the Packers are keeping watch on Monday Night Football as the 3-8 Bears will take on the 6-5 Minnesota Vikings later on tonight. The news a service of Turnkey.pro. Their team of veteran consultants know how to reduce costs and grow new revenue streams, all without having to hire on-site professionals. Visit Turnkey.pro. That's Turnkey.pro. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka sees a country lost.
The people who want business as usual want us to remain indebted because I guess 33 trillion isn't enough. The managed decline of America, who have surrendered their belief in the United States to the idea that, well, we're the problem.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about an opportunity for you to promote your business and to make a difference this Christmas season.
We're talking about our Food for the Poor Business Benefactor Program. We've partnered with Food for the Poor to provide life-saving food for thousands of children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean during this season of economic decline, unemployment, and rising food costs.
Food for the Poor is working with local partners to make sure these children and their families get the food they need to survive. And guess what? Your business can be a part of the solution. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor by making a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor. And thanks to a generous match, that donation will help feed more than 30 children for an entire year.
When you do that, AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you.
Call Anjanette Natowski at 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951. Or go to 560theanswer.com and click on the Give Food banner.
It's the Season of Inspiration sales event at Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. If you're looking for a new or pre-owned Mazda, you need to visit Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. You'll find the Mazda you want, and the price you see is the price you get. There are no games, no gimmicks. And right now is a great time to buy a new Mazda with limited time Black Friday savings all month long. Right now, get 0.9% financing on select new 2024 Mazda CX-5s and select new 2024 Mazda CX-90s for 36 months. Or get 2.9% financing on new 2024 Mazda CX-50s for 36 months. And get your Mazda ready for winter by scheduling your next service appointment right online at WilkinsMazdaCars.com. Wilkins Mazda is conveniently located in Elmhurst, off York Road and 290, just minutes from Oak Brook, downtown, and Schaumburg. Experience the next level of excellence at Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. Visit wilkinsmazdacars.com. With approved credit through Mazda Financial Services for qualified buyers, see dealer for details.
Over 30 years ago, the challenge was accepted, and the Pride Stores has been redefining the convenience store experience throughout Chicagoland ever since. In the spirit of giving thanks this month to the surrounding communities for supporting the Pride Store's vision, you're invited to take advantage of their November promotion at the Pride of St. Charles. Buy 8 gallons of gas and receive 20% off your purchase at the Pride Beer and Wine Plus Spirits just next door. That's right, 8 gallons of gas gets you 20% off an amazing selection of local craft beers, high-end wines from Napa, Sonoma, Walla Walla, and Columbia Valley, plus a wide variety of Pride barrel picks. And don't forget about 93 Octane Brewery located inside the same building. Might as well get a pint while you shop. Offer ends Thursday, November 30th, and valid only at the Pride of St. Charles on Lincoln Highway. With 17 Chicagoland locations, visit thepridestores.com to find the one nearest you. That's thepridestores.com. The Pride Stores, not your typical convenience store.
The holiday season is right around the corner. Give the gift that's hard to wrap, but easy to give. Give them a Steel. Visit your local Steel dealer or go to steelusa.com/gift guide.
540 on AM 560, The Answer. Watching delays this morning on the Kennedy inbound between Austin and Montrose, 23 into the Burns Circle interchange. Express lanes jamming up from Montrose to Addison. Stevenson already slow. Ashland into the Dan Ryan, 25 minutes into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Near North Side, a broken water main is gumming up the intersection of Milwaukee Avenue and Elston. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Breezy, cold, sunshine, high 26. Clear to partly cloudy and frigid overnight with a low of 14. Right now, 24 at O'Hare, and your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Health Quest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Well, who would have thunk it? It turns out that economic reality applies to the LGBTQ +++++2S+++ community too.
I know.
Berlin, this institution in Lakeview.
Have you ever been? I'm
No.
just kidding. I know what the answer is before I even ask it. I was being sarcastic.
Yeah.
I had to go once for a bachelorette party.
I'm
Sure,
sure
it's just,
it was fun.
Yeah, it was great.
It's whatever. People want to go have. I don't care. Like share
It's
impersonators
adults,
and
yes.
whatnot. I don't know what they do, but.
Do you believe in love after love?
So you
boy.
were one of the Cher impersonators?
No, I watched one.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Well, Berlin is closing after 4 decades.
Oh no.
I mean, I'm not happy that any business closes, not when it's essentially extorted out of business. But this is one of these stories of the left cannibalizing the left.
Yeesh, darn right it is. It's awesome.
Apparently, 2 guys named Jim and Joe have owned the business for more than 30 years, and one of them has stage 4 cancer. This is a message they posted on their business site. While supporting Jim during his cancer treatments, we entrusted Berlin's management personnel and legal counsel to lead discussions with the union. The employees recently unionized, even though there are no full-time employees at Berlin. Well, now there are no employees, period.
Yeah, at all.
But when they were operating, no full-time employees.
Yeah.
That's important. entrusted Berlin's management, legal personnel, and legal counsel lead discussions with the union representing employees, so on and so forth. So here's what the employees demanded. Mm-hmm. And by the way, they took to the streets. Last week, they were in Lakeview protesting the closure of Berlin at their own hands. Queer liberation, no exploitation. Okay, well, here's how much queer liberation costs. Here's what they wanted. All workers that work 1 day a week, less than 7.5 hours, be considered full-time.
Come on.
Okay,
one day, okay.
We're done here.
If you work 1 day a week, they want to be considered full-time.
Full-time.
Okay, all right. I'm writing this down, this list of demands. Okay.
And full-time for that 1 day a week means full benefits, health care, pension, vacation pay, sick pay. Mm-hmm. All workers that work 1 day a week to get fully paid health care of $969 a month.
How'd they come up with that number? Okay, sorry.
All workers that work 1 day a week to get pension contributions of $635 a month. A $13 an hour raise.
On top of what they're making.
For bartenders that currently make an average of $57 an hour.
What?
A $13 an hour raise for barbacks that currently make an average of $47 an hour.
Are they okay?
I know some people
are
saying.
Part of the show. This is how are you a barback making $47 an hour?
Anybody interested in maybe trying out the LGBTQ lifestyle to make that kind of cash?
312
get Berlin reopened.
312-642-5600 turnkey.pro answer line. You can also reach us all morning long on our text line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
I suppose I could be a coat checker. A $13 an hour raise for coat check workers that currently make an average of $35 an hour.
Oh my! You've got to.
And a $10 an hour raise for security workers that currently make an average of $22.50 an hour. The proposals, I should say, would cost Berlin about $500,000.
So then what happened? How did it end?
Well, here's what Jim and Joe posted on the site. Berlin is not and for 40 years has never been a full-time employer. None of Berlin's union employees work more than 27 hours per week. Berlin is only open 25 hours a week. More than half of our employees only work 14 hours a week. Berlin's part-time employees earn a combination of base hourly wage plus tips. And then they go through the average wages that I just related to you, which are pretty handsome, I would say, relative to the work and relative to industry norms, I would suspect. But anyway, they go on. We always want our employees to be paid well. Our employees work hard to be paid fairly and competitively, and we believe they are, especially when compared to typical Chicago bars and nightclubs. Yeah, it would seem.
Yeah, you think?
The proposals that were presented essentially range from an overall 58 to 132% increase in wage expenses. Mm-hmm. And then they go on to detail all that I just bullet pointed for you and what the cost would be. When some of Berlin's unionized workers went on strike and picketed August 4th and 5th, we were shocked. Our entertainers and many of our staff were asked not to perform. As we rent our space, we have high fixed costs, can't ill afford to lose a sold-out weekend in the summer, continue to operate with such uncertainty. Surprised the unionized workers went on strike. Oh, boy. You thought you were all brothers and sisters, did you? They went forward, or they just explained making this public comment because they wanted the community to understand their position and the economics of their position. The statement on the website was still a hopeful one. We hope to keep it open for future generations. Well, that hope is by the boards now. And Unite One Unite Here, Local 1. This is an organization. If you think the teachers' unions are rabid Marxists, and they are, boy, you should get a load of Unite Here. Here's a Unite Here message. November 20th, Berlin informed us of their intent to permanently close. The workers are heartbroken to hear of Jim and Joe's decision to permanently and abruptly close this historic institution. This is the wrong decision.
Oh. Too bad. As you always say, so sad, too bad.
Well, but do you understand their perspective?
This is wrong because we said so and now reverse it. That's what they think's going to happen.
We call the shots at your business.
Oh, yeah. Not you.
Your business is there for our purposes, not yours. Just like your home is there for our purposes as collateral for somebody else's public sector pension.
Just like our children are there for their purposes.
Right, so they can have a place to go and pretend that they're doing something productive, like educating them.
They can recruit.
Our union campaign was always centered around creating a Berlin that is better for the workers, better for the artists and performers, better for the patrons, and better for the community. That's still true. Of course. You know, if not for Unite Here Local 1, what would Berlin do? They've only existed for 40 years. But Unite Here Local 1 knows better than the owners of Berlin do and how to make the place hospitable and productive for all concerned parties, right? They know how to best represent all the stakeholders, not just the ones paying dues. Sure. We made clear to the company our original proposals were not final. Oh, so generous. Blah, 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 blah. And then they end with, we love you. Seriously. We love you.
Did they really? Did they put a heart emoji too?
They did.
Did they really?
Yes.
Oh, they're eating their own. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
So this is just perhaps a one standard deviation more extreme than what most business owners are dealing with in Chicago. And that's why I just love, I don't love this happened to Berlin, even though not a fan of that sort of business. But look, I'm not.
It was an institution. I mean, people would come and go, oh, we're going to go to Berlin. And
well, so are the Cubs, but I wouldn't be upset if they closed
exactly.
Either. But the point here is look, I respect private property. I respect these guys built a legal business and whatever. This is what it's like. And so for all of those nitwits in the cheap seats, one mandate after the other emanating from City Hall, and all these sycophantic trade associations like the Illinois Restaurant Association sidling up to the powers that be, hoping that they will be eaten last. So again, if you can't, with the recent PTO and sick time mandate, if you can't give your employees an extra day here and an extra day there, then you should go out of business. Really? That's the attitude. That's the attitude I got on Twitter from all these people, just like Unite Here Local 1. They know better. They should be the shot caller in your business. This is what people deserve. And I know as an outsider that they deserve this. You should run it like that. These are the benefits you should provide. These are the scheduling mandate, the time off mandate, the raising the tipped minimum wage to the standard minimum wage, even if wait staff don't want it, so on and so forth. All of these things that just pile up, but they're always argued in isolation. It's just a couple of days. It's just a couple of dollars. It's just a little bit of a heads up a couple weeks in advance about schedule. It's just this. It's just that. And it's just that Berlin is closed.
Got a few text messages. Dan and Amy, a union is a parasite that doesn't care if it kills its own host.
I mean, there are varying degrees here, but I mean, Unite Here, even though they represent ostensibly private sector workers, hospitality workers mainly.
Yeah, they were behind those staff at the Signature Room when they closed abruptly.
Yeah.
They were supporting them out there, had the marches with them.
Yeah. Another chalk outline courtesy of Unite Here Local 1. Yeah. They operate like a public sector union because they're Marxist ideologues, like the teachers union, like SEIU, like AFSCME. I mean, they don't operate like the trades do, that, that at least most of them somewhat tethered to the real world and the real economics of running a business. Not in Chicago, though. And so Berlin is the latest casualty. And I just can't wait. I want to hear the chirping from the same people. They deserve to close. If you can't run a business like that with those modest requests and so forth, then somebody will replace you. And that's the free market. Like, they're free marketeers. They're cheering state mandates while characterizing themselves as market-oriented people. This is how up their own asses people in Chicago are. At least those people that unfortunately represent the prevailing attitude. Bye-bye, Berlin. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. You may remember when professional feminists insisted that an uncorroborated allegation of attempted rape should keep Brett Kavanaugh off the Supreme Court. Women's experiences matter, they insisted. Oh my, times have changed. Reports coming out of Israel about the October 7th attacks are shocking. Systematic sexual violence was inflicted on women and even children, much so horrifying and graphic that it can't be repeated here. Some were literally raped to death. Yet feminists remain silent, and their silence speaks volumes. It's the same lesson we learned when professional feminists turned on Monica Lewinsky during the Clinton impeachment. Their feminism has nothing to do with the well-being of actual women. It's all about grasping and holding power for left-wing causes, period. The women they claim to care about are just convenient pawns in an amoral, deeply cynical game. Ladies, we've been warned.
You've heard me talk about my love of coffee over and over again. I'm here to tell you I have discovered one of the best brews I've ever tasted, and a company that I cannot wait to support. I'm here to tell you about Bone Frog Coffee. The Bone Frog is a sacred symbol in the SEAL teams. It honors those that gave the ultimate sacrifice, their lives. Bone Frog was founded by Tim Crook Shank, a former Navy SEAL and 25-year Navy veteran. Bone Frog honors the fallen, those who gave everything for our freedoms and our American way of life, by giving 10% of all the proceeds to benefit many of the U.S. Navy SEAL foundations. Here's what I need you to do. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. Get 10% off your first order. You will also get 15% off Bone Frog Coffee subscriptions. Just enter Liberty at checkout. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. That's bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. Taste one of the best brews you ever tasted. 10% of the proceeds go to benefit the Navy SEALs. You'll feel good. It's an American company. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty.
If you're self-employed and purchase your own health insurance, I have some great news. From now until January 15th, the health insurance exchanges are open again. And even if you've never qualified for a health insurance subsidy before, you most likely will now. The American Rescue Plan expanded subsidy eligibility to millions of Americans who have never qualified before, even to those with high income levels. And this year, you can purchase a multi-state PPO policy, which includes access to Northwestern Medical Group, as well as other teaching hospitals around the nation. Employers who provide small group coverage also have new options, and so do seniors looking for Medicare supplement coverage. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 25-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than 10 years. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kathy Lee Gifford, and I've been around a long time. Every one of us, as we age, realizes that things are changing in our bodies, in the world around us. Lots of times I don't like what's happening, so what can I do about it? Well, the one thing we can do is pray, right? The other thing we can do is take better care of ourselves. I do that by taking Balance of Nature because I'm not really good at nutrition. I'm too busy, I'm on the run, and I don't eat enough vegetables, and I certainly don't eat enough fruit. And when I take Balance of Nature, I can feel good that I've done something for myself that I can actually control. So take control. Get Balance of Nature.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-2468-751 and get this special offer by using discount code KLG.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
His Eminence, the classicist historian Victor Davis Hanson, on what is coming in 24. We'll see if you agree at 6:06.
And ladies, if you have one, don't tell the police you have one. We'll explain. But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
Amy and Dan, an off-duty CPD officer killed in an Oak Lawn crash. A Bedford Park police officer shot at a gas station. Construction starts today on migrant tent camp in Brighton Park. A Skokie pizzeria vandalized with a swastika. And the Bears take on the Vikings in Monday Night Football. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
Hostage families are hoping their loved ones are freed today. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, for a fourth day in a row, including Elle Benamy. Her cousin's teenage son is among those Moss kidnapped last month in front of his family.
His mom said to him, Amit, be strong. We will get you out of there.
But there's been a dispute between Israel and Hamas about the list of hostages to be released today. There were 9 children among the third set of hostages released yesterday, sent to a children's hospital in Israel where Fox's Trey Yingst is.
Additionally, 2 mothers flown here as well. We spoke with the grandmother who had 3 of her grandchildren here released last night from Gaza. And she said the kids were just being kids. They were laughing and playing. They wanted to eat pizza. And we know among that group, 4-year-old Abigail Idan, an American-Israeli citizen. Both of her parents were tragically killed.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says,
The little girl, Abigail, what a joy to see her with us.
He spoke with President Biden, who's pushing for that ceasefire to be extended beyond today. Israel has said it to do that for 10 more hostages freed per day. The man facing charges in the shooting of 3 men of Palestinian descent in Burlington, Vermont, is due in court today.
Police say they took 48-year-old Jason Eaton into custody Sunday afternoon. We're told the students were shot while walking along a street Saturday night. One of them is in serious condition. Police are investigating the shooting as a potential hate crime.
Fox's Marianne Rafferty. In a few hours, kids will be getting up to go to school in Portland, Oregon for the first time all month, after teachers reached a tentative deal last night to end a strike that started November 1st. It's Cyber Monday, expected to be the biggest online shopping day, even bigger than Black Friday.
The phrase first coined in a 2005 press release from the National Retail Federation, which noted stores were seeing an increase in online sales on the day. Also revealing consumers at the time had faster internet at work than at home. Men were getting some virtual shopping done during the workday.
That's Fox's Kristen Goodwin. America's listening to Fox News.
24 degrees, and there are some snow showers crossing the area this morning at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Authorities are investigating a crash in Oak Lawn that left an off-duty Chicago police officer dead. The Cook County ME's office says Edwin Espinoza was killed in that single vehicle accident yesterday morning at 95th and Harlem Avenue. A Bedford Park police officer is recovering after he was shot at a gas station in the 6700 block of South Archer Road. Officers were approaching a vehicle that had been stolen. A struggle ensued. One of the suspects fired several shots. One hit an officer, leaving him in stable condition. 2 have been arrested. Construction is set to begin today on a migrant base camp in Chicago's Brighton Park neighborhood, in spite of major safety and environmental concerns. Alderwoman Julia Ramirez saying Mayor Brandon Johnson's office notified her that crews will begin constructing the tent camp today. Resident Ricardo Palacio says many don't know how toxic the site actually is.
People did background histories on this site. It was contaminated because it was a railroad track disposal.
Resident Jan Mo cannot believe the city is housing migrants on a toxic site.
This is inhumane. I mean, how could you put people sleeping on top of toxic land? And you tell me that they're going to put family there?
Chicago Tribune is reporting this morning that the idea for the 10 cities did not actually come from Chicago City Hall, but was authored in Springfield at the governor's office. Chicago sports. Nets won back-to-back games following a 118-109 win over the Bulls. The Blues, 4-2 winners over the Blackhawks, And the Packers are watching Monday Night Football tonight. Minnesota, second in the NFC North at 6-5, take on the 3-8 Bears. Green Bay is in third at 5-6 in the NFC. Chicago sports also found the Northwestern Wildcats looking to get back in the win column when they host Northern Illinois in college hoops at Welsh Ryan tonight. The news service of Wilkins Hyundai and Mazda in Elmhurst. Experience next-level excellence at Wilkins Hyundai and Mazda, just minutes from Oak Brook, downtown, and Schaumburg in Elmhurst. View new and pre-owned inventory online, wilkinscars.com. A check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher sees only one end to the war in Israel.
As this war continues and more Palestinians are getting killed, the question is on the table. Is the cost of the human life of Gaza worth the eradication of Hamas? And I'm sorry, moral clarity tells us it is. This is war, and if they don't stop Hamas, they're going to do it over and over and over again.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2023 Food for the Poor campaign.
As many of you already know, Food for the Poor is a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
Right now, millions of families and children are experiencing the devastating effects of economic decline and rising food prices.
For many, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor and their partners who are providing life-saving food relief on the ground. But in order to get the food to those who need it, Food for the Poor needs your help. Thanks to a generous match, your one-time gift of just $80 can provide life-saving food for 2 children for an entire year.
To make that gift, just call 844-862-4673.
Visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor or just click on the Give Life banner, and thank you so much for your generosity.
All right, Christmas will be here before we know it. If you're looking for a really special gift, I encourage you to check out the firearms made right here in America by our great friends at Henry Repeating Arms. Now, you start by going to their website, henryusa.com, order their free holiday gift guide, and they'll mail it with free decals that you can use for stocking stuffers. Perfect timing. Folks, when you give someone a Henry, you're giving them a work of art that is built with the finest craftsmanship I've ever seen as a collector. Now, their performance is top-notch. Mine were accurate, all of them, right out of the box. They shoot smooth and straight, and they have been reliable ever since. They have over 200 models of rifles and shotguns and revolvers to choose from. One of the things I like the most about these firearms, they're family heirlooms. They'll always be backed by the company's lifetime warranty. So if you want to put something that's made in America under the tree this Christmas, henryusa.com. Get their free gift guide and their decals today. That's henryusa.com. You will love this company.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kathy Lee Gifford, and I've been blessed to have a wonderful career for a lot of years. People still come up to me all the time, and they go, "How are you, Kathy Lee? How's your va-va-voom?" And I laugh with them, and I tell them, still going strong, still taking my balance of nature every day, and telling all my friends and loved ones to do the same. Because it's balance of nature, changing the world, one life at a time.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code KLG.
.608, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Eden's at 20 minutes in, Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy right now, 33 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike right now, fairly normal, 28 into the old post office. Stevenson, you'll see brake lights. Ashland into the Dan Ryan, 27. All the way into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. However, outbound Stevenson, you do have an accident with a left lane blocked It's tied up right now between the Dan Ryan and Ashland Avenue. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Breezy, quite cold, sun patchy clouds. Check your outdoor items. Make sure they're secure today. High 26. Clear to partly cloudy, frigid tonight, low 14. Partly sunny, cold day tomorrow, the high 26. Sunny on Wednesday, the high 39. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
24 at O'Hare, your next news update, 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas, great coffee, period. Roasted fresh daily in Batavia, Illinois.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. It is Cyber Monday. So
right.
this is not...
I'm sorry, excuse me. Did you go shopping on Black Friday?
So this is not an exhaustive list of woke companies, but consumersresearch.org is one of the pretty good sites that provides the institutional memory that is otherwise lacking. So on Cyber Monday, think about these 5 companies. They're big ones, and they've got a lot of popular products, so it's a good place to start. Best Buy, Activision, Target, Nordstrom, and Home Depot. Sad to see Home Depot on the list, founded by Ken Langone and Bernie Marcus, but anyway, such as it is. Best Buy, remember Best Buy exposed earlier this year, we talked about it, implementing race-based management training program that prioritized race above other factors like ability. Still have the same racist training program. They have these arbitrary quotas based on identity. Activision distributes some of the most popular video games, including Call of Duty, Crash Bandicoot, World of Warcraft, Tony Hawk.
I can't remember what they did.
Same thing. By 2026, Activision is committed to increasing the number of women and non-binary employees by 50%.
By 50? Well, good luck with that.
They also have a diversity space tool embedded in some of their games, which judges video characters and how diverse they are. Evaluates characters on their cultural, sexual orientation, gender identity, body type, ability, age, ethnicity. In other words, they're doing what the K through 12 school systems are doing, trying to get to the kids as early as possible to inculcate them in identitarianism. Have you seen how identitarianism is playing itself out on the streets of major cities around the world? Mm-hmm. Target. We should know about Target, the tuck-friendly bathing suits and so forth.
Gross.
Enough said there. Nordstrom, affiliated with Human Rights Campaign, which is this, radical pro-LGBTQ2S+++, created the Welcoming School program for doing, again, identitarian of the gender identity nature. Nordstrom is touting their 100% ally rating from HRC as Human Rights Campaign, as a lot of corporations do. They're a ghastly Marxist organization that uses gender identity the way that Marx used class, the way that other identitarians use race. Home Depot.
Yeah, what did they do?
Same thing, Human Rights Campaign. Their Welcoming Schools program to make sure that the schools are these totalitarian re-education camps. Here's a curriculum that we've come up with for you. Human Rights Campaign has, and then you have big corporate types like Home Depot and Nordstrom that underwrite it. Isn't that wonderful?
312
promote their allyship.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also reach us on the text line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
So there's many. Best Buy, Activision, Target, Nordstrom, Home Depot are 5 big ones, but of course the list is a lot smaller of the ones that have not succumbed to this cultural rot. But it's a start. At least get you thinking about it. Spread the word a little bit. What is to come in 2024 as we near the year's end? Victor Davis Hanson had a bit of a rant on this. Not a rant. He doesn't rant. A distillation of it, more accurate. And it's interesting because I think some people will be surprised by his optimism for next year. But we'll take Mary Kay before we get to VDH. Mary Kay in Western Springs.
Hi, I just wanted to tell you guys, Amy, I did go Black Friday shopping. I went to Lulu against my better judgment, and when I got there, oh, God, it was awful, you guys.
Why? What happened?
Because when we got to the mall, we went to Oak Brook, we stepped onto the mall, and a motion sensor said in a voice, "The mall is closed. Please exit the facility or the area." I'm like, something's going on here, Katie. We got to go home. I don't know. I thought maybe there was something, a break-in at a Louis Vuitton or something, but there wasn't. Anyway, get into Lulu, go through the process, wait in line. I have one shirt I'm going to buy for myself. And the lady says, we took away professional discounts. I can't get my 25% off anymore. So they reduced that benefit to us. Amazon, that company, Katie bought an Apple Watch, and it's not right, and she has to return it. Normally, you go to Kohl's or Whole Foods, right, to drop off Amazon returns. Do you do that, Amy? I don't know. I don't shop there much. But now she has to wait to have an Amazon employee come and pick it up at the door. We have to repack it, and an Apple Watch, I guess, because maybe people steal them. I mean, what the hell, you guys? And they care more about diversity training at these companies than they do about the people who shop there.
Customer service.
Thanks for the call, Mary Kay. All right, let's get to VDH, because he's got a lot to say. Here's his insight into next year and what the left is afraid of. And see if you agree.
You know why they're terrified of him? Because they think he's smarter this time, and he has just cause to really get angry because of what they did to him. They can write all of the Atlantic Monthly, and they can write all the New Yorker clever, glib little essays about Donald Trump was a threat to democracy, or they can write all their little Molly Ball Time essays, how clever and brilliant they were with their cabals and their conspiracies to get rid of him. But deep down inside, they know that if the right ever did that to Barack Obama or Joe Biden, they could have really made something out of the fact that Barack Obama had a hot mic expose where he told the president of Russia, you tell Vladimir that I will be flexible on missile defense. That's the security of the United States of America, if he gives me space in my last election. And Putin did do that. That's an impeachable offense if a phone call to Ukraine is. So they understand that the right could have done that to them. And they understand now the right probably will do that to them for their own survival. And they are scared. They're saying that if a MAGA candidate wins and they win the House and the Senate, we're cooked, because they're going to get special prosecutors and they're going to go after the Biden family like they've never gone after anybody. And they're going to find stuff because we know Joe is crooked. And then they're going to go after Merrick Garland, and they're going to go after Mayorkas, and they're not going to stop. And that's why they're scared.
The left is running scared. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. My interest was piqued by that opening, and so I listened to the rest. Here's VDH developing this a bit further, explaining how the left has put themselves in this predicament they say that he says they're in.
All they had to do was say Donald Trump should not be president, if that's what they believe. And we're not going to do any lawfare. We're not going to try to change the voting laws. We're not going to pack the court. We're not going to let in 2 states. We're not going to try to abolish the Senate filibuster. We're not going to try to change the voting ID laws. We're just going to play under the rules that we have. We don't need $419 million by Mark Zuckerberg infused. We don't need Sam Bankman-Fried, the crook, giving us $100 million. We're not going to go under the radar with George. So we're just going to show you, the American people, how we think Donald Trump should not be president, and we'll have a fair, and they can't do that. They don't trust themselves. They think, you know what? Anybody in his right mind would close that border right now. Close the border. Anybody in his right mind would recall all of those DAs that have destroyed these major cities. Anybody in his right mind would not beg the Saudis or the Venezuelans or the Russians or the Iranians to pump oil on the eve of a midterm or drain their strategic petroleum when you have so much natural gas and oil. Nobody in their right mind would do that. And nobody in their right mind would ever just pull out of Afghanistan without warning, just so Joe Biden can say that on the 20th anniversary of 9/11 or the original October invasion of Afghanistan, I'm the president that got us out. Nobody would do that. And nobody would print $6 trillion when there's a pent-up demand post-COVID lockdown and there's a supply chain disruption, and throw that money without any audit or examination of who got it and why and how it was spent, but to inflate the economy and ruin it. Nobody would do that. And so they know that, and they know that they can't take that record to the American people.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Nobody would do all the things that VDH nicely ticked off that they did because they don't trust themselves, because they can't, and then they don't trust themselves, so they do these things that they can't take to the American people and run on. I don't know about that.
Well, do you think this is wishful thinking, or is this?
Yeah, I'm
not whimsical. Like, he's a well-thought man and well-spoken man.
I'm well aware.
Yeah.
I have great respect for VDH, but I'm not following the logic there. They wouldn't do it, but they did all those things. And they did so because they're afraid of the consequences of doing the things they did. That threat is tenuous, it seems to me. I think they're doing the things that nobody would do because they have, well, number one, because there's a certain foundational ideology. And for those that are not ideologues, they're useful idiots. They're going along with the ideologues. And I think they think this is the way to subordinate for the purpose of lording over the American people and transforming, a word that's used often by them, from AOC's chief of staff to Gavin Newsom, transforming America. All of this is part of the transformation they desire for America. So they're running scared about their plan that they're executing. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. And again, to give VDH the benefit of the doubt here, they offer no apologies, because why would they? To apologize is to admit wrongdoing, to admit failure. But if it's all part of the plan, then it's going swimmingly. But again, trying to follow VDH's argument here.
Every time they give these monstrous lies, there's no apologies. And why should they? Because in their way, they're just narratives. They're postmodern Foucauldian, Lacan, Derrida narratives. Mm-hmm. They were useful. So that's what they look back. Well, they were useful at the time because when we went through the Mueller investigation, when we went through the laptop, we crippled Donald Trump, and therefore we were able to stop him. We had Anonymous. He was burrowed deep into the Homeland Security. He was a minor official, but we said he was one of the major operatives in the Trump administration. We lied. And then we printed his op-ed because it did what it was supposed to do. It weakened this right-wing agenda, so they think. And we got Admiral McRaven, and he came in and wrote an op-ed and said Trump should leave, the sooner the better. And then we got all of the 4 stars, McCaffrey, McChrystal, all of them, to say that Trump was Hitler, that he was Mussolini, that he was a liar, that he was danger. We got Mark Milley to call the Chinese. We did all of this. And yes, we do not want this to be done to us. If right now a retired 4-star general says that Joe Biden is senile or he's dangerous or the Afghanistan is a disaster and he should be removed sooner or later, or his weaponization of the DOJ or the FBI is Mussolini-like, or his hounding of individual people at school boards, or the way he conducted the Mar-a-Lago raid is remnant of, it's Nazi-like. And I'm just quoting from what they've said. You know what's going to happen to those people? You're going to get Merrick Garland to call up the Pentagon, and they're all going to be slapped with a Code 88 Uniform Code of Military Justice, and they're going to be court-martialed for disparaging the commander-in-chief. Trust me, they would in 2 seconds, and that's not going to happen. First, they're not going to say anything because they're not equally going to apply their standards of correct behavior on the part of the... And second of all, they're going to say something with Donald Trump because they know that the media and the Pentagon are not going to do anything to them. Now, oh man, they would destroy them if they ever criticize the commander-in-chief. They would go after him like you wouldn't believe, and they know that.
And I mean, when Trump had a chance to go after Hillary Clinton, he didn't do it.
So you have all this institutional power on the left that VDH is detailing, and yet they're running scared. I mean, I would concede the point that they're a bit afraid of Trump because he's a wild card. So were he to get back in, then their lives would be less enjoyable than they are now. I can see that, but I don't think that they're doing the things they're doing because they're afraid. I think they think this is the plan to continue executing, not only to stave off elimination in 2024, but the larger goal, the longer-term goal for the longer-term thinkers among them, which is that transformation I spoke of. So I can't, they don't trust themselves. They trust themselves. They don't trust the people they want to rule. And that's my difference of opinion with VDH here. The other thing he goes on to essentially, I mean, again, I this is from a respectful place, of course, but he goes on to essentially argue that they know exactly what they're doing. They understand how to wire this up for their benefit, to leverage all the cultural, civic, and governmental power at their disposal. Take a listen.
They understand deterrence. They are saying to the American people, we are SOBs. We're capable of everything and anything. Now, which side do you want to be on? Because if you're on our side, you can do what Hunter Biden is. There's no consequences. If you want to say that the voting machines are crooked, like Jill Stein, go ahead. She did in 2016. If you want to be Barbara Boxer and 32 Democrats and say, you know what, we're not going to certify the Ohio count and hold up the whole election. We're going to try to do that. Don't worry. They did it in 2004. If you're Al Gore and the registrar and the attorney general says, well, the votes have been counted and they have been certified in Florida. Oh, no, we're going to sue. We're going to sue and hold up the entire election for a month. And so you can do all of that as long as you're on our side. But if you don't do that, and you want to go on the other side, then you're going to be in big trouble. And that's the message that they're trying to say. That's what we're really getting down to. Join the winning side. It's sort of like in the Soviet Union. If you're part of the nomenclatura and you join the party, you're exempt. If you're not, well, you're on your own. They understand if you want to get tenure and you want to be promoted and you want to be liked, you just parrot the majority cause. If it paid better, they'd be fascist.
Who says they're not? But so I take his point, but right. So they understand deterrence, and implicitly he's saying the right does not. And I think there's a lot of reason to believe that the right, conservatives may understand deterrence when it comes to dealing with the Soviet Empire or the Chinese Communist Party, but they don't seem to understand it when it comes to dealing with domestic politics.
Lots of text messages on this, too many to even read, but here's one. VDH, Dan and Amy, is exactly correct. The Marxist left will pull out all the stops. They know when we get back in power, they're cooked. And others think that that's not going to happen.
George in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, Dan, they're making it sound like the second coming of Donald Trump would be like an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
I'll be back. Right. Yes.
I'm surprised he hasn't used that line yet.
Well, yeah. Right. Yeah, I don't. I'm still wrestling with it. I'm so unaccustomed to having a difference of opinion with VDH. But I mean, if he's saying like their house is built on a foundation of sand, or they are men and women with feet of clay, okay, but that's not the same thing as saying that they're running scared because of it. I mean, he makes the nomenclatura comparison to the old Soviets. I don't think that's an improper comparison, but then play that out. You think they thought that they were going to be relegated to the ash heap of history? I don't think that's what they thought. I don't think that they were executing what they thought was the roadmap or the plan that would bring about their demise politically.
Text message, Dan and Amy, Republicans are scared. Biden will win in a blowout, and too bad, so sad. Supreme Court will be changed. They kill people, and you think they're scared?
No, I don't. Well, first of all, I don't agree with the premise that, and I'm not saying that VDH is wrong about the opportunity here that, they thought they perhaps had put Trump down, and Trump as the proxy for, the revolt like you saw in Argentina, that they thought they had sent a message by taking him out and now putting him on trial. Don't even think about it. So to that point about go with the majority opinion, go with what's quote unquote popular, we're telling you what's popular, be a part of the party. I agree with that. And that eliminates the revolt. I don't think that's necessarily true. But the Republican Party is complicated. If you read Michael Anton's recent piece over at the American Mind, which is very good, I think he makes some really good points. Michael Anton, who famously penned the Flight 93 election piece back 7 years ago in advance of Trump's victory. There's a lot of Republicans, even erstwhile conservatives, who are sort of saying one thing but acting like everything's fine. And it leads one to wonder, as Anton does, well, if everything's more or less fine and it just requires some tinkering on the margins, then you either don't appreciate what you're saying or you don't believe what you're saying. But either way, if you do believe that we're teetering on the precipice and you have a party in power where the majority thinks everything is more or less fine and it's just sort of the usual stuff that we need to do, marginal tax rates and slow the growth of spending and the tinkering, as I said, then you're not going to get the reckoning that VDH is talking about, even in victory. All right. We'll have to leave it there for now. But coming up at 6:36, we'll talk about, speaking of revolt, the revolt and some revolting behavior in Dublin after a mass stabbing event. We'll talk to Irish writer John Waters at 6:36.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
24 degrees at 6:33 this morning. The families of three 20-year-old Palestinian-American men shot in Vermont say they were victims of a hate crime.
Police have not identified a motive for the shooting, but a suspect was arrested Sunday near the scene of the attack. He's identified as a 48-year-old white male, said to have opened fire on the group without saying a word as they walked along a street. Two of the students are U.S. citizens, while the third is a legal resident. All were rushed to the hospital, with two in stable condition, the third suffering what was described as more serious injuries. I'm Michael Kastner.
The suspect was arrested Sunday near the scene of the attack. Israel reportedly has issues with the list of hostages set for release by Hamas later today. At the same time, the Palestinian militant group also has concerns with the name of prisoners Israel is set to release. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan is working closely, he says, with Israel.
Any military action only takes place after civilians have been accounted for and have the opportunity to be in safety.
Sullivan on CBS's Face the Nation. Senator Michael Bennet believes there's broad bipartisan support in the Senate for an aid package that includes Ukraine, but concedes support likely isn't there in the House.
Some Republicans who have said that in order to do that, in order to have that vote, they want to see something done on the border.
The Colorado Democrat was referring to President Biden's request for a combined $14 billion aid package combining Israel, Ukraine, Southeast Asia, and some for the U.S.-Mexico border. It is Cyber Monday. Time to look for those hidden sales. Amazon has some, like a 32-inch high-def TV for $80. Authorities are investigating a crash in Oak Lawn that left an off-duty Chicago police officer dead. Edwin Espinoza was killed yesterday at 95th and Harlem in an accident. Bedford Park police officer recovering after he was shot at a gas station. It happened in the 6700 block of South Archer Road in Bedford Park. Two have been arrested. And construction is set to begin today on a migrant base camp in the Brighton Park neighborhood, despite safety and environmental concerns. Resident Ricardo Palacio says many don't know how toxic that site actually is.
People did background histories on this site. It was contaminated because it was a railroad track disposal.
The mayor's office says the city's confident that the property will be suited for the purpose for which it will be used. The Tribune this morning is reporting that state documents indicate the concept for housing migrants in tents took shape not at Chicago City Hall, but in Springfield inside the governor's office. Chicago sports, Nets over the Bulls, 118-109. On the ice, Blues over the Blackhawks, 4-2. Monday night football. Tonight, it's the Vikings and the Bears. The News is a service of Wilkins Hyundai and Mazda in Elmhurst. Experience next level of excellence at Wilkins Hyundai and Mazda. Just minutes from Oak Brook, downtown in Schaumburg in Elmhurst. View new and pre-owned inventory online at wilkinscars.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about an opportunity for you to promote your business and to make a difference this Christmas season.
We're talking about our Food for the Poor Business Benefactor Program. We've partnered with Food for the Poor to provide life-saving food for thousands of children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean during this season of economic decline, unemployment, and rising food costs.
Food for the Poor is working with local partners to make sure these children and their families get the food they need to survive. And guess what? Your business can be a part of the solution. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor benefactor by making a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor. And thanks to a generous match, that donation will help feed more than 30 children for an entire year.
When you do that, AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you.
Call Anjanette Natowski at 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951. Or go to 560theanswer.com and click on the Give Food banner.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-353-2973 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-353-2973. That's 800-353-2973. What do you have to lose? Call 800-353-2973. Again, 800-353-2973.
The holiday season is right around the corner. Give the gift that's hard to wrap, but easy to give. Give them a Steel. Visit your local Steel dealer or go to steelusa.com/gift guide.
6:39, check of the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Staples stores. And we'll start with a broken water main near Northside, Milwaukee and Elston. Report of a structure fire in Thornton, Margaret and Schwab, and a structure fire at 43rd and Shields on the south side in Fuller Park this morning. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Breezy for today, quite cold. We'll have sunshine and patchy clouds, and we'll top out at 26. Currently 24. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So on the night of Thanksgiving, rioting, looting, violence broke out on the streets of Dublin, Ireland, that is. This was after a knife attack in which a man reportedly in his 50s started stabbing kids and their adult attendants outside of a primary school, grade school in Ireland. 3 kids were stabbed, 2 adults. Several are reportedly in critical condition, last I saw. And so this gave way to the rioting, which was characterized by the police and the prime minister as instigated by some faction of right-wingers, because the assailant is allegedly somebody who came to Ireland and had lived there for a couple of decades. I don't know if he is an Irish citizen or not. But the flip side is one of the individuals who intervened to stop the attack is an immigrant from Brazil who's a delivery driver. So was it about the nature of the attack and the attacker, or is there something more profound going on in Ireland, and this sort of is a tinderbox, and this was the match? By the way, in no way is that intended to justify, because we never do, any sort of violence at looting and the violence that you probably saw online and on news reports. I mean, you know, what does looting have to do with a public policy disagreement? Nothing. Doesn't work in Chicago for Black Lives Matter. It doesn't work in Dublin. I don't care what the topic is. So that's just sort of a statement of first principles. But anyway, that doesn't absolve this prime minister. We've mentioned him before. But now that he's bubbled up to the surface again, this is the kind of prime minister Ireland has. He'd be very comfortable with the with the identitarians in Chicago, at least, including all of the Irish Irish politicians who preceded the Brandon Johnsons and the Lori Lightfoots and the Rahm Emanuels, who laid the seeds for Chicago's destruction, lest we forget. Now I see where they get it, apparently. This is Irish Prime Minister Leo Varadkar talking about how the government in Ireland is too white, just to give you a little flavor for this dude.
One thing I strongly agree with the Deputy on is the need to set a target to have a number of people from ethnic minorities in areas of the public service. We have a health service that's very diverse, although less so as you go up towards the senior positions, not so much in the Gardaí, not so much in the Defence Forces, not so much in the education sector, as the Deputy mentioned, not at all in the civil service, which is very white, including the Department of Equality, for example, and that actually needs to change. So we need to have, I think, a target for people who come from ethnic minority backgrounds, but also dedicated recruitment campaigns to encourage people, because we do need a generation of young people growing up in Ireland who are people of colour to see black and brown school principals, judges, Keen Corla perhaps in the future. Who knows? Visibility and opportunity is really important.
And there's nothing more I like than a honky talking about how this government he's a part of, or this business he's a part of, is too honky. So, feel free to lead by example there, Leo. Here's what Prime Minister Leo had to say about the rioting.
To all those cowardly champions of Ireland who took to the streets of Dublin last night, let me say one thing. Ask your sisters, ask your friends, ask everyone you know what they fear most on our streets. They're afraid of you, afraid of your anger and your rage, afraid of your violence, your hate, and how you blame others for your problems. As a government, we will be relentless in protecting our citizens and defending our people. The Gardaí will be on the streets in large numbers and will do whatever it takes to fight back waves of ignorance and criminality. The Minister for Justice will coordinate with the Commissioner to ensure we never witness such terrible scenes as the 23rd of November 2023 ever again.
What about the stabbing of those kids?
Yeah, exactly. And we're learning this morning that Irish police are investigating Conor McGregor's tweets about the Dublin riots.
Right, because that's
and they're investigating the wrong thing right now.
Well, that's what's really central. I mean, again, unlike in the U.S., we've seen this in the U.K. too, you don't have the same First Amendment protections. And Conor McGregor basically tweeted out a response to the police chief, who again said this is a fringe, right-wing, so on and so forth. And he just said the absolute picture of weak and feeble, the most divisive of all, is the weak man. One of the most horrific crimes this nation has ever seen has occurred. We do not care anymore what you said, what you sad cases have got to say. In a war, you are nothing. We are not backing down. We are only warming up. There will be no backing down until real change is implemented for the safety of our nation. We're not losing any more of our women and children to sick and twisted people who should not even be in Ireland in the first place. Call it what you want. We don't care. May God help us all. Ireland for victory. And then he later qualified that, say he's not condoning the rioting and the looting that occurred, but he's making more of a statement about protecting the people of Ireland, like those kids and adults that were stabbed. Okay, well, interesting times. For more on this, please be joined by John Waters, who's an Irish thinker, talker, and writer. You can get his musings at his Substack, which is entitled Unchained. John Waters, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hi, Dan. Good morning.
Good morning. Give us a handle on what you believe to be the reality on the ground there in Dublin, and these seeming the seeming politics around immigration coming to the fore as in the backdrop of this attack.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I would say, Dan, is that you got to remember Ireland is an island of lies now. Official lies. So virtually nothing that comes out of the mouth of a politician, or indeed a journalist, to be honest, in Ireland now can be believed or taken at face value until you're
familiar with the concept. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a war of ideas and words, and of a spiritual war, you could say, going on in Ireland. And migration, mass migration, is a part of it. Again, we have to distinguish the issue, as they continually try to present the issue as being about migration. Migration always happened. What they're doing is imposing huge numbers of migrants on Ireland, really vastly, the equivalent of about 10 million in the past year in America, in the United States. Huge number, nearly 150,000 people were brought in at the dead of night, without papers, without vetting, without identification even in many cases, and imposed in hundreds upon tiny hamlets and villages all over Ireland. And the communities of those towns and villages were told, you don't have any right to object. You don't have any right to decide who comes into your community. And therefore, by implication, you don't have any right to have these people vetted on your behalf before they come in. Now, that's the background. Now, of course, the individual who is said, and we have to be somewhat vague about what we say about this, because no charges have been leveled yet against an individual, but it was a person allegedly who was in this country for quite some time. The backstory, again, allegedly, is that he had already been ordered to be deported. But the Irish policy of deportation is set. They tell you leave the country, and then that's the end of the process. So he didn't leave the country, and then miraculously he became a citizen a couple of years later. How that works, I don't know. I can't help you there, Dan. But this is kind of, you see, at the background into this fundamentally is that for 30 years now, like 30 years ago, and I don't promote this as a virtue, because it is what it is. 30 years ago, Ireland was predominantly Irish, 95%. And of those, probably 99% what is called white. But white is an ideological category which has no place in Irish history. We have no history of racial conflict. We shouldn't be fighting wars on our soil that belong in America or South Africa. This is Ireland. We don't have to have diversity quotas in Ireland, because we are an island of Irish people. And people are welcome to come here, and they have come here. When they have reason to be here for work or play or whatever, have been made welcome. But what is happening now is really a replantation of Ireland. It is quite obvious, because, what's happening is quite extraordinary. Hundreds of migrants coming into Ireland, all male, all young males, coming in busloads into towns where they hang around the street corners, leching after women, and indeed children, teenagers. So the Irish people have said, look, can we have a discussion about this? And they say, no, if you want to discuss this, this means you're a racist.
Okay, so John, tell us what happened and how the victims are doing.
Well, we don't know. The information is very, very sparse. They haven't released any names of the victims, except the name of the woman carer. I don't know. She was some kind of minder from the school. It's not clear, because normally she might be a teacher. I don't know. That's not clear. It hasn't been specified. We understand that one of the three children who were stabbed, a girl, is in a very serious condition in hospital. We also gather that the woman is in a serious condition in hospital. That's all we know. You mentioned, but again, to tell you about the lie, sorry, can I just say this one? You mentioned about the Brazilian. This is the story. You see, this is what happens. A spin goes out in the beginning that distorts the meaning of everything. The person who actually intervened most vociferously in the beginning was an Irishman. The Brazilian threw his helmet at the assailant and hit him on the head. The assailant, the person now is allegedly in a coma. I don't know if it's from the helmet or not. But again, all of this is misinformation. These people have made a crime of disinformation, by which they mean anybody who says anything that causes the Irish people to lose faith in their government, true or false of it, that's disinformation. But these people issue nothing but disinformation from morning till night.
So then give me your characterization of the response with the rioting. and they, which we saw obviously, and looting,
Yes.
and then the characterization by the government as, lunatic right-wing fringe.
Okay, well, as regards to the rioting and so on, I wasn't there, so I can only, I suppose, apply a model that I have observed over the last 4 years, since the lockdowns began, where people were down to the streets in the past to protest. And immediately we saw that these marches and protests were infiltrated by, roughhouse interlopers, agent provocateurs, clearly Antifa, clearly under the tutelage and supervision of the police, in order to create the impression that these were violent extremists who were trying to bring down the government, this kind of thing. Now, this has all the hallmarks of this. There is actually a video in circulation showing police riot squad breaking windows in shops on Thursday night. This kind of thing, that would not surprise me. We have seen situations here where there was clear attempted felon setting of people, anti-vaxxers, for example, 2 years ago when a Masonic hall had a fire on New Year's Eve. And they tried to insinuate that this was an anti-vaxxer. When I outed the story and produced evidence that this was complete lies, it just disappeared. You see, this is unprecedented, Dan. I am 68 years of age. I've lived in this country all my life. I have been nearly 40 years a journalist. I am absolutely awestruck and sickened every day of my life to see what is happening under this creep, Varadkar. He is the most appalling specimen. He is in the Trudeau category of appalling specimens in modern Irish or leadership terms in the world. He is a WHO member, a WEF member, World Economic Forum. He is tutored by Klaus Schwab and these guys. These people no longer represent the people that voted them into office, or allegedly, because he never received a mandate of his own. This guy, he took over from the predecessor into Kenny, and he cobbled together a coalition in 2020 of elements that had sworn on Bibles they would never coalesce with each other. Nothing they say is believable. They are just non-stop industrial liars. As regards to the far right thing is the greatest lie. The far right thing, you did ask me about that.
Yeah.
The far right thing is another great lie. There is no far right in Ireland. The only existence of the far right is in the imaginations of politicians, journalists, and the police commissioner, Drew Harris, who as you said, is a weakling, a pathetic creature who just issues threats and menaces and lies at every opportunity. This country, Ireland, is finished unless we can somehow get rid of these people. They are the most appalling. I cannot imagine how they got in. How did these people pass by under the gaze of the Irish people, who are usually pretty well attuned politically and able to read people? But they disguised themselves well, and particularly for Varadkar. You mentioned, by the way, he's not a hunky, as you said. I'm sorry. He has Indian blood. His father was Indian.
So is Elizabeth Warren. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I get you. We got to leave it there. John Waters, Irish thinker, talker, writer. His Substack, Unchanged. John Waters. John Waters, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. And just so people know, the Prime Minister of Ireland, he tweeted out, the 9-year-old girl, Emily Hand, was released. He referred to her as being lost, and now she's found. Thanks so much to John, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
It's Dr. David Kolbaba.
With cold and flu season, now is the time to ensure you're building an effective immune system. Zinc is so critical for every function of your body, especially your immune defense. And there's no better way to check your zinc levels than our zinc tally test. First, we'll test you in our offices, and then you get to take your very own zinc tally test home with you, and once a week, watch your steady progress. Can't get to our offices for your first zinc tally test? No problem. We'll ship a kit to you. It's so so fast and simple to use with quick results in just seconds, with you not having to pay for those blood tests to check for zinc deficiencies, which most of us probably are deficient. So call our Health Quest radio hotline at 800-794-1855 to order yours today. And listen to Health Quest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, this Saturday morning at 11. Call 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855.
It's the Season of Inspiration sales event at Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. If you're looking for a new or pre-owned Mazda, you need to visit Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. You'll find the Mazda you want, and the price you see is the price you get. There are no games, no gimmicks. And right now is a great time to buy a new Mazda with limited time Black Friday savings all month long. Right now, get 0.9% financing on select new 2024 Mazda CX-5s and select new 2024 Mazda CX-90s for 36 months. Or get 2.9% financing on new 2024 Mazda CX-50s for 36 months. And get your Mazda ready for winter by scheduling your next service appointment right online at WilkinsMazdaCars.com. Wilkins Mazda is conveniently located in Elmhurst off York Road and 290, just minutes from Oak Brook, downtown, and Schaumburg. Experience the next level of excellence at Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. Visit WilkinsMazdaCars.com. With approved credit through Mazda Financial Services for qualified buyers, see dealer for details.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll move from the island of lies, as John Waters refers to Ireland, to the swamp of lies. That would be in D.C. Stephen Bucci from the Heritage Foundation on, well, the hostage exchange, Ukraine, aid package, Pentagon failing its sixth audit in a row. Lots to talk about, 7:07.
But first, let's stop into that newsroom and say good morning once again to Mike Scott.
An off-duty Chicago police officer killed in an Oak Lawn crash. WIND Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
It's the fourth day of the ceasefire in Gaza, but maybe not the last one. I'm Dave Anthony. Fox News. Israel has said it would extend the truce by every day 10 more hostages are freed.
I've seen the reports that Hamas says that it can't locate all of them. That is, of course, horrific, beyond measure.
Israeli government spokesman Eylon Levy says Hamas has to resolve that. President Biden wants the fighting halted for longer,
so that we can continue to see more hostages come out and surge more humanitarian relief into those who are in need in Gaza.
Now, today, Hamas will set free the last of the 50 hostages in the initial deal with Israel in the swap for Palestinian prisoners, the day after Fox's Trey Yingst reports.
9 children and 2 mothers were flown by helicopter to this hospital just outside of Tel Aviv, where they are receiving treatment at this hour. Among that group, 4-year-old Abigail Idan, an American-Israeli citizen.
She is an orphan now. Her parents were killed in the Hamas terror attack. The U.S. has been targeted again in the Middle East. Missiles fired at a warship. They missed, landing in the sea instead.
The USS Mason, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, was responding to a distress call from a tanker ship in the Gulf of Aden. The MV Central Park had been hijacked, and the suspected hijackers were arrested as they tried to get away. U.S. officials tell us 2 missiles were then fired from a part of nearby Yemen, controlled by the Iran-backed Houthi militia.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. For the first time all month, kids will go to class in Portland, Oregon, after teachers worked out a tentative contract to end a strike that closed schools November 1st. This is a day many Americans shop while they work. Cyber Monday, and Fox's Mark Meredith reports.
The National Retail Federation estimating some 71 million people are going to be taking part in Cyber Monday, even as some Americans are still unsure about the state of the economy. Retailers estimating they're going to see $12 billion in expected revenue just from today alone.
That's more than Black Friday, when Adobe Analytics reports we spent almost $10 billion online. America's listening to Fox News.
24 degrees in Chicago. 7:02 is our time on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Authorities are investigating a crash in Oak Lawn that left an off-duty Chicago police officer dead. Cook County Medical Examiner's Office says Edwin Espinoza was killed in the single-vehicle accident yesterday morning at 95th and Harlem Avenue. Relatives have started a GoFundMe account to help cover funeral costs. A Bedford Park police officer is recovering after he was shot at a gas station. Authorities say officers found a damaged vehicle that was reported stolen in the 6700 block of South Archer in Bedford Park early yesterday. Officers approached that vehicle. A struggle ensued. One of the suspects fired several shots at an officer, leaving him hospitalized and in stable condition. Police then arrested two and recovered firearms. Construction is set to begin today on a migrant base camp in the Brighton Park neighborhood. Resident Yuan Mo can't believe the city is housing migrants.
I mean, how could you put people sleeping on top of toxic land? And you tell me that they're going to put family there?
Mayor's office says the city is confident the property will be well suited for the purpose for which it will be used. Meantime, the Tribune is reporting this morning that state documents indicate the concept for housing migrants in tents did not take shape at Chicago's City Hall, but instead within Governor J.B. Pritzker's office in Springfield. Nets over the Bulls, 118-109. Also last night, Blues over the Blackhawks, 4-2. Packers and Bears on Monday Night Football. The news is a service of the Fireplace and Chimney Authority, Chicagoland's largest and most respected fireplace and chimney company. Call to schedule your appointment today, 630-279-8500, or visit their showrooms in Lisle or Elmhurst. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
November 2nd, 2020, marked the 100th anniversary of the first commercial radio broadcast. We're still here, and we're bigger and better than ever. You can still listen to us over this great radio station, but now there are no limitations. Your smartphone is now your smart radio. Listen to us online on the app, tunein.com, iHeartRadio, and Odyssey.com. Your smart speaker can find us too. With radio, there is no separation anxiety. We're always on. AM 560, The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hey all, Jim Carr here. I am the owner of Carr Machine and Tool in Elk Grove Village and loyal customer of Signature Bank. As a second-generation owner, I knew I had to shift from operating as an old-school machine shop to what I can proudly say is now one of the fastest-growing aerospace manufacturing facilities in the region. Signature Bank was there every step of the way through our expansion efforts, including financing our new state-of-the-art facility. Their valuable industry expertise and constant communication throughout the construction process made our vision possible. Many thanks to Signature Bank for supporting Carr Machine and Tool. You set the bar high for other banks.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
All right, Christmas will be here before we know it. If you're looking for a really special gift, I encourage you to check out the firearms made right here in America by our great friends at Henry Repeating Arms. Now, you start by going to their website, henryusa.com, order their free holiday gift guide, and they'll mail it with free decals that you can use for stocking stuffers. Perfect timing. Folks, when you give someone a Henry, you're giving them a work of art that is built with the finest craftsmanship I've ever seen as a collector. Now, their performance is top-notch. Mine were accurate, all of them, right out of the box. They shoot smooth and straight, and they have been reliable ever since. They have over 200 models of rifles and shotguns and revolvers to choose from. One of the things I like the most about these firearms, they're family heirlooms. They'll always be backed by the company's lifetime warranty. So if you want to put something that's made in America under the tree this Christmas, henryusa.com. Get their free gift guide and their decals today. That's henryusa.com. You will love this company.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
At 7:07, let's get a check on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound Edens, 36 minutes. Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy is an hour O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Here jammed up near Lawrence due to an earlier accident. Northbound 55, an accident has a center lane blocked between Veterans Parkway and Route 53. We're looking at a half hour on the inbound Dan Ryan 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Sun, patchy clouds, breezy, quite cold for today. The high 26. For tonight, clear to partly cloudy, frigid, dress warm, low 14. Partly sunny, cold day tomorrow. The high again 26. Sunny Wednesday, the high at 39. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
We're stuck on 24 right now. Next news 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, roasted fresh daily in Batavia, Illinois. Online at papanicholas.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The Pentagon failed its annual audit for the 6th year in a row. 6 years and going strong.
Congratulations.
Out of 29 individual sub-audits of the Defense Department, 7 passed this year, the same as last year. 7 out of 29. 1,600 auditors combed through DOD's $3.8 trillion in assets and $4 trillion in liabilities, conducting some 700 site visits. They found that half of DOD's assets cannot be accounted for.
Normally people lose their jobs when this happens, repeatedly.
$3.8 trillion in assets, half of which cannot be accounted for, according to the auditors. Okay. Now, juxtapose that to this. This is a U.S. Army enlisted who is leaving. He was with the 82nd Airborne for the last 4 years, including during the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal. And here's what he said about where he is with respect to the armed services as he departs.
2 years ago, my unit deployed to Afghanistan for the Afghanistan withdrawal. We spent a few weeks over there. It was hectic, it was chaotic, it was disgusting, and it made me very disappointed in our government. Today, I'm reminded of how disappointed I am in our government. Go to turn in my gear. They want to charge me $500 to $1,000 for gear that I was ordered to leave in Afghanistan 2 years ago. Because as the last 2 birds were sitting on the tarmac, ready to leave, there wasn't any room for extra gear or extra weight. Therefore, we were told to leave it. Some lower enlisted dudes, including myself, were like, no, this stuff is expensive. I'm not leaving this. I'm going to get charged for this when it comes time to leave. Don't worry. We're going to catch you on the back end. We'll flipple it. No. It's time to get out of the Army, and they want to charge you for that. Meanwhile, we can continue to give millions of dollars to the Taliban. We can give billions of dollars to Ukraine. We can give billions of dollars to student debt relief. We can give a bunch of stupid stimulus checks. We can cut those to the American people. But we can't cover $500 to $1,000 for a dude that left gear in Afghanistan. For a dude that left gear in a place that you put me to begin with. The government is so stinking backwards right now, man. This administration's last priority is the American people. And inside of the American people, their last priority is their soldiers, their Marines, their airmen, Their Navy, so messed up, man. I thought today was going to be bittersweet getting out, but I'm just so happy to separate. I'm very, very excited to stop serving my government and just getting started serving my country.
Important distinction. Well, you know, that $500,000, that'll help when they're trying to reconcile the books with that $1.7 trillion in assets they can't seem to find. Honestly. You know.
Clown world.
People a lot of people are fed up. I don't know how many. We're going to find out, though. Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer. Don't know how much he had to pay to get out. Top Pentagon official as well. He's visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Steve Bucci, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me on the show.
I
think
doubt
it's going
you're
to be a tough morning discussion, though.
Well, yeah, there's a lot to discuss. I doubt you're surprised by the frustration expressed by that U.S. Army enlisted.
No, I'm not surprised at all. If you want to go to the audit thing first, you know, I was in the Pentagon for quite a few years, and every year the Secretary of Defense looked at all of the leadership and said, guys, we need to do an audit. We're like a business. We should be able to give an account for everything we have and everything we've spent. And every year, all of the other leadership in the Pentagon, both uniformed and civilian, massively pushed back and said, boss, you know, it's not really important. We don't need to do this. We're fighting 2 wars. We just need to push that off. And unfortunately, they did. They were able to convince him. And as a result, they still can't pass an audit. And I'm with you guys. If this were a business, you know, the shareholders would be kicking the leadership of the organization out. And you know what? We're the shareholders as the American people. Congress is supposed to be our representatives as shareholders, and they're not doing anything because they're part of the same broken system. Taking it down to the tactical level of this young man that was speaking there, I understand the frustration. I've turned in equipment that I never took out of the packaging because I didn't use it. And when I went to turn it in, I had some young enlisted guy look at me and say, well, sir, I'm sorry, you got to clean this. And I said, the bag is still sealed. What do you mean I got to clean it? And so, I mean, there's a lot of stupid in an organization as big and complex as the military. But this one in particular, when soldiers were ordered to leave equipment, there needs to be a memorandum of record done when they get back to put in their supply files and say, on this date, Captain so-and-so ordered Private Smith, Private Jones, and Private Brown to leave these pieces of equipment, strike those from their record, and, you know, or charge the captain who ordered them to leave it. You could do it either way. But to try now and collect that from the young enlisted guys as they're getting out is horrible. I would be talking to my congressman immediately and saying, this is wrong, and I need some support. But that young man should not be charged that money in any way, shape, or form. He's right. That part of it is totally backwards.
Well, and not particularly good when recruitment is down to have videos like that circulating, which speaks to more than just the $500 or $1,000 he's going to be charged, which is insane and infuriating. But beside the point, I mean, he's really talking, as you heard him, more globally about how enlisted are, at least some, feel they're being treated and or prioritized as compared to. Well, I mean, as compared to what they were sold when they enlisted. It's just the disconnect between serving your government and serving your country. And if a soldier is making that distinction, you can bet a lot of his compatriots are too.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And if this stuff always shifts when you go from fighting a war where everybody's really rah-rah, got to support the troops, let's do everything for them, to okay, the war's over, back to normal. Let's start doing all of the insane and inane policies that we had before. And in this case, you have an administration who doesn't prioritize the military, either their readiness or their ability to fight. They're more concerned that the military get everybody's pronouns right,
Yeah, right.
rather than be able to fight. And as a result, we have adversaries around the world that have got to be just chuckling, watching us and watching particularly our civilian leadership, but sadly our uniform leadership too, who are not focused on the right things.
Well, let's go to the commander in chief, and go from the ridiculous to the more ridiculous. Here's what Joe Biden had to say. President Biden had to say over the holiday about the Hamas attack on October 7th. He's had enough time to think about it now, and he knows why they attacked.
I cannot prove what I'm about to say, but I believe one of the reasons why Hamas struck when they did was they knew that I was working very closely with the Saudis and others in the region to bring peace to the region by having recognition of Israel and Israel's right to exist.
And a railroad from Riyadh to through the Middle East to Europe. That's why Hamas attacked, he thinks.
You know, I mean, this is a guy that in his campaign and since then have vilified the Saudis, have said they are like the worst guys in the world. That's why he leans towards Iran, because he doesn't like the Saudis, because they were really mean and hurt that poor man, Mr. Khashoggi, who I love, is always characterized as a journalist. He wrote 2 op-eds for the Washington Post, and he was an arms dealer and a paid intelligence agent of the Qataris, who are basically enemies of the Saudis. But because they did that, I mean, God help us, we could never touch anybody who's painted themselves a journalist, even though he was an enemy spy and a traitor to his own country. But then for Joe to say that he's working for peace, he has not wanted to work with Netanyahu. He has pushed back on everything that Israel has done, not just him, but everybody he's appointed, including people who were paid employees of the Iranian government working in both the State Department and the Department of Defense. And now he thinks Hamas is worried about meetings he's having, and that's why they attack people. You talk about a narcissistic personality.
Yeah.
This guy is really over the edge. He thinks the world revolves around him and what he does, and most of the world is just going, man, I hope Biden gets elected again, because we're having a good time when he's in charge.
Well, I mean, what do you think of his job so far, though? Because I don't know what team he's on, but over the weekend, you know, he suggested that now he's working to extend the ceasefire, and he said blatantly he doesn't know the list, he doesn't know who's on the list, and then he went out Christmas shopping. So where is his heart in all of this? Because I don't feel like it's not there.
No, it's not. He is reading the cue cards that he's handed by his handlers. He is, you know, at least when Woodrow Wilson was loony, they put him in a bed and his wife made the decisions. They just didn't tell anybody. Joe Biden, he thinks he's really in charge. And it's clear he's not. It's clear his staff, and I'm not, to be honest with you, what's really scary is I don't know which ones are really the people making the decisions, but it's clearly not him. He is unable to do this job. I think he was unable to do it since his inauguration. He's darn sure been unable to do it of late, and it's sad to me as an American that our commander-in-chief is not capable of doing the job that he was elected to do, at least by half the country.
What was his? What do you think the Biden administration's role was in the hostage deal that was struck and that was affected over the weekend? Was this between Israel and Qatar, with America sort of sitting second chair, or was there do you think, an instrumental role that America played in cutting this deal?
I think America's role was to push Israel because we think we need to do that. hostage safety is a paramount concern for Israel and for us, though last time I checked, no Americans have been released yet. But, I don't think America is the prime mover in this. I think it is Israel making a decision that they care enough about their citizens and even the people who are American citizens who live in their country to try and get those people out. But they rightfully are reserving the right to go in there and continue hammering once it looks like, we're not going to get any more juice out of the tomato to get any more hostages out. But no, Biden is not a key to this. That's a lie. Blinken is not even a key to this, though he's probably more important than Biden. It's ludicrous that they are now taking credit for this stuff and taking credit for improved relations between Israel and Saudi Arabia. Did they do the Abraham Accords, or was that done already before Biden was elected?
I want to ask you about a couple of other things. One, we talked about, I should say, on Wednesday before Thanksgiving, this former air marshal who spoke to Fox News about what air marshals are doing right now, which is they're doing one of two things, according to her, U.S. air marshals. They're either at the border acting as administrative aides to border security, passing out water and things like that, or they're part of the Open Skies program, Quiet Skies program that is surveilling individuals who were in the D.C. metro area on January 6th, surveilling them still 3 years later, tracking their movements through flight, even though they have not been charged, these Americans have not been charged with any crimes. And we spoke with one, actually, on Wednesday from the Chicagoland area. Do you know anything about that? Is that your understanding that is what U.S. air marshals are doing?
I was not aware of that until I heard that conversation. It doesn't surprise me. When the FBI has admitted it turned away from investigations into child pornography and child abuse, like interstate pornography and child abuse, so it falls in their area, to investigate everybody who happened to be somewhere in the Washington, D.C. zip code on January 6th of 2021. It's ridiculous to me that we have done this, that a small group of congressmen and the Department of Justice have decided that the crimes committed or alleged crimes committed on January 6th are somehow the most heinous crimes that have ever been committed in American history and need to get every bit of the law enforcement structure of America focused on them to the exception and of everything else. That's ridiculous. If people broke the law, fine, investigate them, charge them, give them a trial, and it should be done fast, and they should be treated no worse than any other criminals out there. But that's a pretty small group of people in my mind, not the massive numbers, and definitely doesn't warrant continued surveillance because they happen to be in Washington that day.
Well, here's another surveillance program that maybe people who are unconcerned about January 6th defendants, or not even defendants, those being surveilled for no particular reason, at least legitimate reason, maybe they'll be more interested in this. This, harkens back to James Clapper lying to Congress about the metadata collection. A surveillance program tracks more than 1 trillion domestic phone records within the United States each year. This is according to a letter sent by Democrat Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon to the Department of Justice. The surveillance program, known as Data Analytical Services, has for more than a decade allowed federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies to mine the details of Americans' calls, analyzing phone records of countless people who are not suspected of any crime, including victims. This is done in coordination with AT&T. Do you know anything about this?
I don't know about that specific program. I know, we found out when Edward Snowden released all of his stuff that the programs that everybody in government thought were good to go and were okay because they had the FISA court overseeing them, that would be sufficient. We found out that, one, the FBI has totally bent the FISA court system and lied to them, and that when it got out in the press, the American people pretty much uniformly said, not no, but heck no, this is way too intrusive. And that was back during the beginning of the Obama administration when all that came out. And all that was supposed to have been rolled back. To find out now that there's still another program as yet ongoing and every bit as intrusive as any of the others, just with a different name, that's wrong. That is deliberately ignoring the very open and strong signals that the American public gave that is not what America wants. They do not feel that's legitimate, and I think they're right.
Who can stop the surveillance state? Perhaps the answer is no one at this point, it would seem. When they control all that stuff, it's kind of hard to find all the things they're hiding. So, it's Congress has to have a bigger, more active role. They have to push on the Justice Department and the intelligence community. The problem is you got major parts of Congress, the House, it's too close to really be an effective club against this stuff. And the Senate doesn't seem to be interested. They think they're the House of Lords and that they're in bed with the administration. So they're not going to push at all on those executive branch agencies, which is where the problem now lies. Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as Army Special Forces and top Pentagon official, visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Steve Bucci, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. You guys have a great week.
You too, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Nick Philippus, co-owner of Joe Donut and a proud customer of Signature Bank. We're a locally owned artisan donut shop that focuses on chef-made small batch and craft donuts. We have 7 locations around the Chicagoland suburbs, with an 8th location coming soon. After opening our original stores in Glenview and Niles, we came to Signature Bank for financing for our new Mount Prospect location. From PPP and material delays in construction, Signature Bank was flexible and truly a banking partner that a small business like ours hadn't experienced before. Even their fraud department was able to stop a $30,000 fraudulent check from clearing our account. That allowed us to focus on selling donuts, knowing Signature Bank had our back.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
What if you could build a 6-figure retirement income with almost half the money saved? You heard that right. Get a discount on your retirement, creating a 6-figure income with 40% less than traditional 401ks and mutual funds. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, best-selling author and executive producer of a new Hollywood documentary called The Baby Boomer Dilemma. In this film, economists and Nobel Prize-winning PhDs share a strange concept I call the retirement discount. It gives you more retirement income with the same dollar saved, and your money is never at risk if the market crashes. That's right. If the market crashes 30%, you lose nothing. Even people who are on track have shifted money to this new strategy because it increases their retirement income or can allow them to stop working years sooner. So if you are over 50 and want a bigger, better retirement with less money, call to get a free copy of this brand new movie, 1-800-578-3535. This is a $30 value, but when you call today, you get it completely free, plus 2 hours of bonus behind-the-scenes footage. No credit card required. Call right now. 1-800-578-3535. That's 1-800-578-3535. Again, 1-800-578-3535.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, how to consume news rationally with Joachim Book from the American Institute for Economic Research, 7:37.
And later we will get to it. Something funny happened at the beach, Dan. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
25 degrees this morning at 7:32. Israel and Hamas appear open to extending a ceasefire in Gaza that started with the deadliest and most destructive terror attack on Israel. A fourth exchange of militant-held hostages for Palestinians imprisoned by Israel is planned for later in the day. Arkansas Republican U.S. Senator Tom Cotton says the U.S. needs to be more open to using troops to get out American hostages.
I do think we have to be deferential to the Israeli government and the Israeli Defense Forces about the tactical situation on the ground. But if American military forces are called upon and can provide a viable solution to get out American citizens and the citizens of Israel or other nations, then we have to be open to that.
Israel has said it would extend the ceasefire by 1 day for every 10 additional hostages released. Reaction coming in over Saturday night shooting in Vermont of 3 students of Palestinian descent. Burlington police say they've arrested a suspect, and Fox's Marianne Rafferty has more on the developing story.
Police say they took 48-year-old Jason Eaton into custody Sunday afternoon. We're told the students were shot while walking along a street Saturday night. One of them is in serious condition. Police are investigating the shooting as a potential hate crime.
The 3-week-long Portland teachers' strike is over. On Sunday, the school district and teachers union reached agreement on a tentative deal that gives teachers a significant raise. Local authorities are investigating a crash in Oak Lawn that left an off-duty Chicago police officer dead. The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office says Edwin Espinoza was killed in the single-vehicle accident yesterday morning. A Bedford Park police officer is recovering, shot at a gas station in the 6700 block of South Archer. Officers were approaching a stolen vehicle. A struggle ensued. One of the suspects fired shots. Police arrested 2 and recovered 2 firearms. That officer is in stable condition. Construction is set to begin today on a migrant base camp in the Brighton Park neighborhood, in spite of safety and environmental concerns. Mayor's office says the city is confident the property will be suited for the purpose for which it will be used. Meantime, the Tribune is reporting this morning that state documents now indicate the concept for housing migrants in tents did not take shape at Chicago's City Hall, but instead within the office of Governor J.B. Pritzker. Nets over the Bulls, 118-109. Blues over the Blackhawks, 4-2. Packers watching tonight very closely as the Vikings host the Bears in Monday Night Football. The news, a service of Health Insurance Mentors. Are you 65 or older and thinking about Medicare? Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Call Stephen Tucker today. 630-674-1551 or healthinsurancementors.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This radio station is always on, but sometimes you need more content that you can take with you anywhere. That's why we invented the SalemPodcastNetwork.com. You'll find all the great hosts on this radio station, plus a few more, like Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Trish Regan, Jenna Ellis, and Dennis and Julie. There's literally no end to what we can teach you. It's like radio on demand, and just like radio, it's always on. Go find out what you're missing. Download the app, SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Hi, this is Randy Donnelly from Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois, with my current want list for upcoming auctions. Guns and military items are always at the top of my list, but I have buyers for vintage automobiles and motorcycles, old gas pumps and automotive signs. Do you have pinball machines and coin-operated games like slot machines, jukeboxes? How about Coke machines and soda machines? Also, neon signs, antique phonographs and music boxes, old toys, especially science fiction and Star Wars. Cowboy and Native American collections like barbershop, ice cream parlor, and saloon items. We'll take one item or an entire collection. We sell it all. Call me before you sell your items outright, because you could be leaving a fortune on the table. And you won't know until you call me at 815-923-7000 or send me an email at DonnellyAuctions.com. My job is to get you top dollar for your collections, so call me at 815-923-7000. I'm Randy Donnelly, and I'll see you at the auction.
Right now is a really good time to get your student loans under control. There are so many people that we talk to every day who tell us that they just feel so much anxiety and overwhelmed by their student loans. But once they pick up that phone and call us and we're able to give them a plan and a strategy that may lower their payment by hundreds of dollars, sometimes thousands of dollars, and may actually get their loans forgiven. The point is just to give people some clarity and control over their situation so that they know that whatever the payment is, whatever the plan is, there actually is a plan, and that plan is going to save them the most amount of money. I'm Ray Kaplan, and I can help you get debt-free, stress-free. Give us a call at 312-294-8989 or visit us at financialrelief.com.
Hi everybody, I'm Kathy Lee Gifford, and I've been around a long time. Every one of us, as we age, realizes that things are changing in our bodies, in the world around us. Lots of times I don't like what's happening, so what can I do about it? Well, the one thing we can do is pray, right? The other thing we can do is take better care of ourselves. I do that by taking Balance of Nature because I'm not really good at nutrition. I'm too busy, I'm on the run, and I don't eat enough vegetables, and I certainly don't eat enough fruit. And when I take Balance of Nature, I can feel good that I've done something for myself that I can actually control. So take control. Get Balance of Nature.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-2468-751 and get this special offer by using discount code KLG.
The holiday season is right around the corner. Give the gift that's hard to wrap but easy to give. Give them a Steel. Visit your local Steel dealer or go to steelusa.com/gift guide.
At 7:39, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Edens has climbed up to 37 minutes. Lake Cook Road into the junction. The Kennedy at an hour and 16 from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike right now is at 53 minutes, 390 into the old post office. Bishop Ford stop and go, Stony Island into the Ryan merge. The Reagan jam solid eastbound between Roosevelt and the Tri-State. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Breezy and quite cold today. Sunshine along with patchy clouds and a high of 26. 25 right now at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 8. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, a family tradition since 1897. Online at papanicholas.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. How to be media literate. How to properly consume news. Separate fact from misinformation and disinformation. That's what state governments from New York to Illinois are for. We have a media literacy mandate here in Illinois thanks to Governor Jelly Belly and our betters in Springfield. They do in New York State as well thanks to Kathy Hochul and New York State's betters in Albany. Here was the governor explaining this exciting development of media literacy, setting up, like we set up during COVID, Vivek Murthy's Ministry of Truth in the Biden administration.
Today I'm directing the Director of Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services to develop media literacy tools for K through 12 in our public schools. This will teach students and even teachers to help understand how to spot conspiracy theories and misinformation, disinformation, and online hate. Start talking about what we're seeing out there. Give the teachers the tools they need to help these conversations in school. And by teaching younger New Yorkers about how to discern between digital fact and digital fiction, we can better inoculate them from hatred and the spread of it, and help prepare them for a very fast-moving and often confusing world.
And there's no question. The government is great at erasing hate, providing clarity, and instructing on what is true, what is good, what is beautiful. I mean, that's what the government's there for, right? Oh, man. Oh, boy. Joachim Book is a writer, researcher, and editor on all things money, finance, and financial history. He's written on this topic as well, how to rationally consume news, which you want to talk to him about, as well as perhaps a couple other things. I don't know, Joachim, thanks for joining us, but I think Governor Hochul covered it, didn't she?
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope the kids take the message to heart and apply it to her message itself.
Yes, right. Well, obviously, she's an oracle of all that is true and beautiful and good, as is every politician. So they're beyond reproach. It's people like me and, others who diverge from the established orthodoxy of the politicians that I think she's speaking about.
Yeah, it might be. What I always like, this is a good example where I can actually say and proudly say that I don't know who she is. I don't know what this policy is about, and it couldn't affect my life less. And usually that would be kind of an awkward thing to admit, But the topic here is that I'm trying to sort of argue that news is mostly noise, and you should probably quit it. Like, get rid of it from your life.
Well, I want to let you develop that, but it does matter when the government is instituting curricula along these lines in K through 12 government schools, where 90% of the students matriculate, and doing so in states like New York and Illinois. I mean, this is, to me, another tool of indoctrination, and so even if you don't believe that, I think it's probably prudent to be a bit circumspect about the motives of the politicians.
Okay, but you're assuming that all of a sudden schools and school teachers are good at what they do. You haven't taught the kids anything. They haven't learned any math. They can't spell, and all of a sudden they're going to be experts at this disinformation thing. No, this is just going to be some other point of stuff to do, and the kids just yawn and look at their iPhones. So, they're not going to It sounds scary, you're right, and we should be vigilant about this kind of stuff, and this is one of the reasons why, homeschooling is amazing. You have some control over what your kids actually learn, but the safe fallback idea here is that, kids don't really learn that much at school, so even, they don't learn the good stuff, but they also don't, aren't that harmed by the bad stuff.
That's the good news. Kids aren't learning in school. That's what we have to hang our hats on. Yeah. That's comforting. All right. So I mean, give us then now develop your perspective on how to rationally consume news other than Chicago's Morning Answer, of course.
Yeah, always tune into Dan and Amy. No, I mostly come around to this position that you probably shouldn't consume it at all. It's noise. It's in the way. Our brains are not equipped for it. We have this informational overload. Turn on any news show and it's like breaking, this thing is happening and this story is developing. And it's always stories that if you step back for a minute, they don't actually affect your life or anybody's life. Maybe you want to watch the Weather Channel. That's cool because it's going to, if you bring an umbrella or not, or the traffic or something. That makes sense to me because it's, serious information that isn't that politicized. But anything else, I'm not so sure what it gives you. News by its very nature is extreme. What you do every single day, normal kind of things that happen. You drive to work, you get up, you leave your kids somewhere, you take a shower. That's not going to go on the news because it's normal. So the kind of stuff that goes in the news are extreme things. And if you consume extreme things over and over and over, you're going to get a very weird view of the world. And I definitely think that's one of the reasons that people have such strange impressions of what's happening. We don't know. My favorite example is all these tests that people like Hans Rosling and Gapminder people have been doing. How many people were lifted out of poverty? What's how many people have diabetes in your country? Things like that. People don't have a clue because things are in your face and you get a distorted view of the world. So when things get better, you tend to believe that they actually get worse.
Well, how did you wean yourself off of the news?
My favorite trick is to just not watch it and read instead. Consume slow news. If you want to read serious things, read books, read magazines, listen to long-form podcasts, listen to serious conversations that aren't clickbaity and aren't, like 30-second segments on, CNN or something. And my other favorite trick, I use Twitter a lot, but I curate it heavily by muting all the things I don't want to see. So there's a function there where you can mute words. So I mute everything I don't want to see. And every time there's some big event happening in the news, I don't see the news, but I see other people mentioning these words, and I mute them.
Okay,
and
what words?
Yeah, exactly.
Tell us the
I want to
words
know.
that you've muted.
I've got a suggestion. I got one. Let me see if let me posit one guess, and then you tell us. Here's a word that Joachim Book mutes: existential.
Actually, I might not. That one might not be on the muted list.
Yeah,
Greta Thunberg is definitely. She's definitely on it. The Donald is definitely there. The latest ones I added were Hamas and Gaza. Like, I don't want to see that. I don't need that.
And what was the first one you said? Who's
Hamas. Oh
no.
Oh, Greta Thunberg, the Swedish climate activist who likes to say existential.
Oh, yeah.
She is definitely on the list.
Yeah.
She's definitely there.
All right. Well, since everything is an existential threat, I mean, to your point about extremism and hysteria-inducing, right? Exactly. As you're trying to tackle serious things and push away the noise, what about the serious things that are going in the West with respect to popular revolts, for lack of a better description? Geert Wilders in the Netherlands most recently, but before that, last week, we spent a lot of time talking about Javier Milei, and he is bringing a serious paradigm shift, or at least he intends, it would seem, to bring a serious paradigm shift to Argentina, including the dollarization of Argentina. And I wanted to get your reaction to that, particularly because we sort of have a bit of a historical analog. It's not perfect, but the financial troubles of Greece last decade, and the debate that happened there between devaluing the currency or an austerity program and maintaining alliance with the EU. And I just wanted to get your take on sort of the importance of this moment in Argentina and what it might mean for the West.
Yeah, I mean, I follow it not super closely, but I find it very interesting. I used to live in Argentina a decade ago, and I'm a libertarian by philosophy, so obviously this is an exciting moment to see what's going to happen, and to see what he actually manages to pull off. My understanding is that he's kind of gridlocked in Parliament and things, so he might not be able to do as many things as he wants to, or says that he wants to, anyways. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out. It's very interesting. The analog to Greece it's sort of interesting. It sort of points to this problem with dollars. Like, I hear a lot of people say, yeah, Argentina, the government can't manage their finances. Dollarizing the economy is the perfect thing to do, and Argentinians are already saving dollars, and this is perfect, and it's going to tie their hands. And that's true, but the analog to Greece there is pretty apt, because Greece was tied, like in the euro. They didn't have control over the euro because the European Central Bank did. So they'd already outsourced the monetary control over Greece. They still got into this mess, right? So it indicates sort of that dollarization, while it's good, and I definitely favor tying the hands of corrupt politicians as much as possible. It doesn't have to. It's not necessarily the solution. Like, you need more than that.
Well, right. It's not
Some of my colleagues at AAR wrote that you have to accompany monetary reform with fiscal reform. You can't just think just dollarize the economy and then spend like crazy. No, you still need to fix the fiscal problems in your country.
Of course, it's not a panacea, but it is an important statement of principle, because what it essentially says, what Milei is essentially saying, as I understand it, is that the savers and the small entrepreneurs and the poorer households, they're not going to pay the heaviest price, which they do with inflation. Instead, it's going to be the state-owned companies and the rent-seeking larger firms and so forth, they're going to bear the brunt of this. That's an important distinction, and I hope he explains that too, because maybe some people don't get that aspect of the dollarization. So, of course, fiscal reforms are also necessary, and they're going to come in one form or the other. But, who is lining up to bear the biggest brunt under what Milei proposes to do is important.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to keep in mind that the people in Argentina who have access to dollars are generally not the poorest. So when it's very hard to fairly dollarize or fairly get out of a currency.
But they're the savers. But they're the savers.
The poorest people in a society, they may.
No. The people with dollars are the savers. Is my point.
Yeah. That's true. So so the way that you have to jump over to a new monetary system, the way that's what the dollarizing is, that you somehow have to convert the peso holdings, or you just hyperinflate the currency so that the value of your paper pesos just goes absolutely to zero. But in that case, you hurt the poorest a lot because they're the ones who actually hold some pesos. Nobody else holds any pesos. That they get out of it as fast as they possibly can by any kind of hard asset or saving dollars or foreign accounts or whatever. So you have to be a little bit careful about how you do this, and it's very hard to do it without pain.
Oh, no, there's going to be pain. I mean, and we see this in the West, too. I mean, we're obviously not in the position of Argentina with 140% inflation in October, but
we're on our way there.
Well, right, and
on our way there, yeah.
And every country in the West getting out of the expansive, unfinanceable government that we've imposed on ourselves, none of that is going to be without pain.
Yeah,
Nowhere.
The only benefit I see is that Argentinians, there's like a collective mentality and a collective history. Like people know that you should not trust your politicians, you should not trust your monetary authority, you should not hold pesos, you should do everything in your power to get out of pesos. But I think Americans and Europeans don't really have that basic mentality. They, like a lot of Americans are very proud over the dollar, and they want to, they don't mind holding a bunch of dollars, but they miss out this idea that they're just siphoned off value via the constant inflation.
Yeah.
So people just hold their nation's currency. They don't have this mentality or understanding that a lot of Argentinians have. That you can't just sit on cash. You need to get out because these guys are not trustworthy.
Yeah.
You can't hold their.
That may be changing ever so slowly, but there's definitely some change afoot. Joachim Book, writer, researcher, editor on all things money, finance, and financial history. Joachim, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Over 30 years ago, the challenge was accepted, and the Pride Stores has been redefining the convenience store experience throughout Chicagoland ever since. In the spirit of giving thanks this month to the surrounding communities for supporting the Pride Store's vision, you're invited to take advantage of their November promotion at the Pride of St. Charles. Buy 8 gallons of gas and receive 20% off your purchase at the Pride Beer and Wine Plus Spirits just next door. That's right, 8 gallons of gas gets you 20% off an amazing selection of local craft beers, high-end wines from Napa, Sonoma, Walla Walla, and Columbia Valley, plus a wide variety of Pride barrel picks. And don't forget about 93 Octane Brewery located inside the same building. Might as well get a pint while you shop. Offer ends Thursday, November 30th, and valid only at the Pride of St. Charles on Lincoln Highway. With 17 Chicagoland locations, visit thepridestores.com to find the one nearest you. That's thepridestores.com. The Pride Stores, not your typical convenience store.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. You may have heard me on the radio sharing information about taxes, the IRS, or some other legal topic. Over these many years, I've learned quite a lot about helping business owners. It's pretty complicated out there. Business owners must always be learning just to keep up. So I've put together an email newsletter where I share information with business owners for free. That's right, no charge. All you have to do is go to radiotaxman.com and provide your email address. That's it. You may wonder why I would do that. Well, I know business business owners are going to need help now and again. Tax returns, IRS trouble, business structuring, tax planning, and a whole lot more. I also know that if I share accurate, important information with you, information you can trust, you may give me an opportunity to help you. That's it. You don't have to ask for my help, but I want to offer it to you. Pretty simple. Go to radiotaxman.com right now and sign up for my email newsletter. That's radiotaxman.com. It's free. Together we can fight back now.
What if you could build a six-figure retirement income with almost half the money saved? You heard that right. Get a discount on your retirement, creating a six-figure income with 40% less than traditional 401ks and mutual funds. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, best-selling author and executive producer of a new Hollywood documentary called The Baby Boomer Dilemma. In this film, economists and Nobel Prize-winning PhDs share a strange concept I call the retirement discount. It gives you more retirement income with the same dollar saved, and your money is never at risk if the market crashes. That's right. If the market crashes 30%, you lose nothing. Even people who are on track have shifted money to this new strategy because it increases their retirement income or can allow them to stop working years sooner. So if you are over 50 and want a bigger, better retirement with less money, call to get a free copy of this brand new movie, 1-800-578-3535. This is a $30 value, but when you call today, you get it completely free, plus 2 hours of bonus behind-the-scenes footage. No credit card required. Call right now. 1-800-578-3535. That's 1-800-578-3535. Again, 1-800-578-3535.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kathy Lee Gifford, and I've been around a long time. Every one of us, as we age, realizes that things are changing in our bodies, in the world around us. Lots of times I don't like what's happening, so what can I do about it? Well, the one thing we can do is pray, right? The other thing we can do is take better care of ourselves. I do that by taking Balance of Nature, because I'm not really good at nutrition. I'm too busy, I'm on the run, and I don't eat enough vegetables, and I certainly don't eat enough fruit. And when I take Balance of Nature, I can feel good that I've done something for myself that I can actually control. So take control. Get Balance of Nature.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-2468-751 and get this special offer by using discount code KLG.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Is nostalgia all we have in Chicago at 8:08?
But now let's head straight into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Construction starts today on a migrant tent camp in Brighton Park. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
The last set of Israeli hostages expected to be set free soon. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. On the fourth and final day of a ceasefire deal, Hamas has already released more than 50 hostages as more humanitarian aid flows into Gaza. This woman's 3 grandchildren among those set free yesterday.
We hug them a lot, again and again and again. We cry a lot. We laugh a lot.
A 4-year-old Israeli-American, Abigail Adan, was also set free. Her parents were killed last month. Another of the hostages released in a swap for Palestinian prisoners is frail in critical condition.
Alma Avraham, and she is 84 years old. And according to her daughter, she was not given the medicine that she needed when she was held for more than 50 days by Hamas.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Israel.
The Israelis are working diplomatic channels today to try to get more hostages out and possibly extend this ceasefire deal. It comes as Elon Musk visited Israel today. He traveled with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to a small community called Kfar Aza that sits near the Gaza border, where
And the Musk's ex-social media company's been under scrutiny over controversial posts about the war on what used to be Twitter. Was a weekend shooting motivated by hate? That's a question in Burlington, Vermont, where a suspected gunman's due in court today.
Jason Eaton is in custody in connection with the shooting of the 3 men who were all 20 years old and wearing black and white Palestinian keffiyeh scarves. Investigators say the men were walking near the University of Vermont when they were confronted by a white man with a handgun who, without speaking, fired at least 4 rounds, hitting the men.
That's Fox's Tanya J. Powers. It's Cyber Monday, the biggest online shopping day of the year, with many buying while working. It's estimated we'll spend $12 billion. 3 days of tributes begin in Georgia, where former First Lady Rosalind Carter will lie in repose at the Carter Presidential Library. President Biden will attend a memorial service tomorrow. The burial's Wednesday. She died at age 96, with ex-President Jimmy Carter by her side. He's 99, also in hospice care. America's listening.
25 degrees, partly sunny skies, 8:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Authorities are investigating a crash in Oak Lawn that left an off-duty Chicago police officer dead. The Cook County ME's office says Edwin Espinosa was killed in the single vehicle accident yesterday morning at 95th and Harlem. A Bedford Park police officer is recovering after being shot at a gas station while investigating a reported stolen vehicle in the 6700 block of South Archer. One of the suspects fired several shots at one officer, leaving him hospitalized in stable condition. Police arrested two and recovered firearms from the scene. Construction is set to begin today on a migrant base camp in Chicago's Brighton Park neighborhood in spite of safety and environmental concerns. Alderwoman Julia Ramirez says the mayor's office notified her that crews would begin constructing the tent camp today. Resident Ricardo Palacio says many people don't know how toxic the tent camp site actually is.
People did background histories on this site. It was contaminated because it was a railroad track disposal.
The Tribune is also reporting this morning that that state documents indicate the concept for housing migrants in tents did not take shape at Chicago City Hall, but actually at the governor's office in Springfield. Chicago sports. Bulls 118-109 losers to the Nets. The Blues a 4-2 win over the Blackhawks at the United Center. Monday Night Football, Vikings and Bears. It's 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat. It is a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Americans are still spending despite predictions of consumers pulling back as they face higher interest rates and still high inflation. Today's Cyber Monday is expected to be the year's biggest online shopping day, with $12 billion in spending, up 5.4% from a year ago. Among the big online sellers on Black Friday, TVs, smartwatches, Barbie dolls, and Bluetooth headphones. Black Friday online shopping came in at nearly $10 billion, a new record. Shares of online retail software company Shopify are rallying after reports of upbeat holiday shopping. And shares of iRobot are higher. There's anticipation it will be purchased by Amazon because it's more likely to win approval from EU regulators. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
8:05, time to call Permaseal Basement Systems at 800-421-7325. And a check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
Would you like to have your mortgage or rent paid for all of 2024? Yeah, that sounds like a Christmas miracle, doesn't it? Well, that's exactly what AM 560, The Answer, wants to do for you. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle to enter our Christmas Mortgage Miracle Contest. Enter once per day, every day, between now and December 20th, and you can have your rent or mortgage paid for all of next year. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about an opportunity for you to promote your business and to make a difference this Christmas season.
We're talking about our Food for the Poor Business Benefactor Program. We've partnered with Food for the Poor to provide life-saving food for thousands of children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean during this season of economic decline, unemployment, and rising food costs.
Food for the Poor is working with local partners to make sure these children and their families get the food they need to survive. And guess what? Your business can be a part of the solution. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor by making a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor. And thanks to a generous match, that donation will help feed more than 30 children for an entire year.
When you do that, AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you.
Call Anjanette Natowski at 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951. Or go to 560theanswer.com and click on the Give Food banner.
And Doug. With Liberty Mutual, you can customize and save hundreds on your car insurance. But what to buy with those savings? I bought a sound effects machine.
Only pay for what you need at LibertyMutual.com. Savings may vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
Liberty, 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 liberty. Go with your gut. Your dog's immune system is based in the gut. A diet lacking in nutrients can cause itching, scratching, and a weak immune system. However, there is a solution. DINOVITE. Dinovite.
It took a grand total of 2 weeks. The dog stopped itching, the hair stopped falling out.
Try Dinovite for free. Just pay shipping and handling. Learn more at dinovite.com/radio.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dinovite.
All right, Christmas will be here before we know it. If you're looking for a really special gift, I encourage you to check out the firearms made right here in America by our great friends at Henry Repeating Arms. Now, you start by going to their website, henryusa.com, order their free holiday gift guide, and they'll mail it with free decals that you can use for stocking stuffers. Perfect timing. Folks, when you give someone a Henry, you're giving them a work of art that is built with the finest craftsmanship I've ever seen as a collector. Now, their performance is top-notch. Mine were accurate, all of them, right out of the box. They shoot smooth and straight, and they have been reliable ever since. They have over 200 models of rifles and shotguns and revolvers to choose from. One of the things I like the most about these firearms, they're family heirlooms. They'll always be backed by the company's lifetime warranty. So if you want to put something that's made in America under the tree this Christmas, henryusa.com. Get their free gift guide and their decals today. That's henryusa.com. You will love this company.
It is 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. CTA Yellow Line service, just a reminder, it continues to be suspended at the beginning of this week. Actually, riders may also use the number 97 Skokie bus as an alternate, at least for today, and shuttle bus service may be in effect for the rest of this week. We'll keep our eyes on that as we watch Bartlett this morning. Bad accident, Lake Street, US 20, east and westbound shutdown between Horizon and Lambert Lane due to an accident. Tri-State has a disabled vehicle right lane northbound right at North Avenue. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Sun, patchy clouds, breezy, quite cold for today. The high 26. For tonight, clear to partly cloudy, frigid, dress warm, low 14. Partly sunny, cold day tomorrow. The high again 26. Sunny Wednesday, the high at 39. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Partly sunny, 25 right now. Next news at 8:30. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. If there's one thing I adore,
what's that? Black Friday shopping?
It is promos from network affiliate reporters and anchors, station promos.
Okay.
And particularly station promos that have that Homer-esque angle, you know, best city in the world and all that. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you did some of those when you were at NBC5.
I'm sure, yes. And then at JBK in Detroit and El Paso, Tucson, yes, we did all those.
Yes, Detroit.
Because where news matters.
The best of all possible worlds, Detroit. Now, I'm talking about something like seasonal, giving you this impression of the city, not the news station itself, but the impression of the city.
Right. Okay.
So here's something I saw that speaks to what I'm referencing. This is this sports score regurgitator at WGN named Chris Bowden.
Oh, I like Chris. He's a good human being, but okay, go on. What did they make him do?
Well, I don't know.
Sometimes you have to do things that you're like, do I really have to do that?
He's a pretty good actor if he was compelled to do this. WGN Christmas memories from the point of view of their able on-air talent. And the question that this prompts, you're about to hear, is that all that's left for Chicagoans? Is that all that's left, do you feel, is nostalgia about the city? Because that's what this is.
One of my fondest memories of the season is when my son and daughter were real young. We would drive downtown, park around the Art Institute, and then walk all the way up the magnificent mile here to Water Tower Place. And then we turn around and go down the other side of Michigan Avenue, stopping at numerous shops. And then we'd cap off the day at Marshall Fields, looking at the holiday window display, the great tree in the Walnut Room, and go to Daily Center Plaza. We were all tired afterwards, but it really ramped up the excitement and the anticipation of the season.
Can you do any of the things that he just said today?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also reach us on our text line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. Well, I used to do that with my grandma Ruth. We used to take the L down town and get off at State Street and then walk and look at the windows, on State Street and Christmas windows and the decorations to get you in the mood. But I would never in a million years do that right now. Well, I don't know if anybody would. And I know that's your point, but did you ever do anything, any Christmas rituals like that?
I mean, I lived in the city for 2 decades. I know this will come as a surprise to everyone who...
You did?
Wants to harp on how my tenuous connection to Chicago, having only lived there for 50 years, 20 in the city. But, yeah, so, I mean, I'm pretty well versed with the city and the state because of my involvement in politics. But I mean, that the point of that is, I know this can come across. Maybe this is like I'm reaching here. It's just an innocuous happy holidays kind of rah thing, but it's all part of the propagandizing about Chicago, and the quote unquote news stations are the worst offenders. I mean, it's not so much getting after Bowden here, but it's just I just love when the kids were young, we used to do this. Can you do any of that now? And I'm not talking about just because, some stores come and some stores go. I don't expect the city to be static, but you have this anticipation that the city will always be a magnet and will always have these attractive features. And if it's not Marshall Fields, it's another superstore with another Christmas, another big store with a Christmas experience or something else that's innovative that attracts you downtown besides the Bean. And I just
having Christmas brunch at the Walnut Room and all that.
Yeah, right, sure. It's just that to me it just speaks to what Chicago isn't, and the hearkening back to what it was, at least in part, although I'm always want to say the good old days weren't always so good, but
they're better than they are now.
But,
I mean, look at the tourists on Saturday that were shopping on Michigan Avenue, and there's a pro-Palestinian protest where then they had to clear the streets. They shut down the Mag Mile again. It's like you can't win or lose around here.
Yeah, and
I mean, they have a right to do that, but it's like there's a time and a place, and it's come on.
It just seems to me, though, that like that sort of propagandizing by WGN is, well, exactly that. It's more of the beautiful lie telling. Don't pay attention to what you see and experience now. Remember what it used to be like. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Susan in West Chicago.
Hi, Dan and Amy. I'm wondering how many people in Chicago remember the Marshall Fields broadcast on the radio of the Cinnamon Bear.
Oh, the Cinnamon Bear. I don't recall. Tell us more about this Cinnamon Bear.
Oh,
wasn't that Warner Saunders' nickname?
It was just it's 2 little kids, and their magic bear came to life at Christmas time, and it's just really cute. It's sweet.
Well, I have to tell you, Cinnamon Bear's been shot in a drive-by. Case of mistaken identity.
Cinnamon Bear was a pimp on the West Side, wasn't he? Or did I have that confused? Yeah. Well, now it's
Huggy Bear. What was that guy's name? In Starsky and Hutch. Oh.
Yeah, Huggy Bear. Now it's walk down the Mag Mile and get hit over the head when somebody grabs a log from the Starbucks display.
Yeah, from the Christmas display, and uses it to
I mean, I know
injure somebody, and she's still in ICU.
I know these are one-offs, but a number of one-offs. You aggregate enough one-offs, and it starts to tell you something about the environment. It just. I mean, the story all morning that Mike Scott's been reporting about the migrant base camp that's going up in Brighton Park that wasn't going to be going up in Brighton Park until they did an environmental review. Of course, that's by the boards. It's moving along. Construction starts today with the tents. So I just see this as more of the beautiful lies about the city that you used to know, and you're still here. And I get, there's still things to do, and you still got your friends and family around, and there's still great restaurants, and the lakefront hasn't moved, and so on. You still made a good day to take a ride on the Sea Dog today. Sure. Yeah,
it's
of course.
15 below with a wind chill. You'll be great. Just bundle up. Wear layers. No, but the thing is, too, that's changed is the suburbs have such great restaurants now. We don't need to go downtown. You've got Arlington Heights has great restaurant. Rosemont. You don't have to go to Gibson's downtown, or, you can just go out in Rosemont. That's what a lot of people are deciding to do.
Chris in Oak Brook.
Hi, my mom used to we grew up on the Grange. We'd get on the Burlington Northern train and go down into the Loop, Union Station. We'd walk from Union Station. We had 8 kids, and we were probably, 8 or 9 at the time. We'd walk all the way from Union Station to Oak Street Beach, and then we'd have peanut butter jelly sandwiches with some sand in them, which always tasted great. And then we'd walk all the way back at the end of the day. And, I mean, we had a blast, but I could never imagine doing it today, walking that in that neighborhood. No, couldn't do it.
Thanks for the call. Yeah, today you get to come downtown for the protest du jour and the drifting circle at some intersection in the Loop, and the smell of dope everywhere. I mean, there are positives. I don't want to sort of over propagandize in the other direction, but that's why I'm just asking: is nostalgia all that's left? When I come to the city, it's still friends to hang out with and restaurants to go to, but as we've been saying for years now, I mean, it's hard to make the case if you have any historical perspective that it resembles the city of even a decade ago, much less 2 or 3. Even though crime was still a feature of the city, there's way too much violent crime. Any violent crime is too much violent crime, but you have the ebb and flow of violent crime, but it's different now in meaningful ways. The leadership, the policies that emanate from that leadership, it's changed the city because policies impact people's lives, and it does change things. Yeah, taking the kids down, walking on the Mag Mile, going to Marshals. Right, sure. Okay. Greg in LaGrange.
Hi, good morning, guys. You would think that some of those memories would awaken some, for a lack of a better term, animal spirits on trying to get the city back to what it was. But I think this idea that we don't have to go down to the city, we can always go to Rosemont or we can go out to the suburbs. Well, I'll tell you what. What's in the city is coming out to us in the suburbs.
Yeah, I saw a couple of guys robbed a Macy's in Oak Brook yesterday or over the weekend. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I heard there were some problems right over in Forest Park too. You just can't escape it, and trying to think that you can will get you nowhere. Unfortunately, I think we had this discussion today. We are going to hit rock bottom. You think this is rock bottom with 12 burglaries on Thanksgiving and another 20, I guess, here overnight? Come on. You want to hit rock bottom, it's going to get a lot worse. So better gird your loins, people.
It's the way they Christmas shop. Brad. They just robbed Chicagoans. Within a 2 to 3 hour span, 20+ people were robbed.
Andy, Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, so we used to have a big
luncheon, a bunch of Board of Trade guys down at Gene and Giorgetti's every year for, a Christmas holiday celebration. None of those guys will even come into the city anymore, the ones that are still in the suburbs and haven't migrated to Naples. So, the animal spirits of turning the city around they've relocated to other states. But I do have one entertaining story that you don't get nowadays. A friend of ours who we've actually played golf with, big personality in the Chicago commercial real estate industry. Well, the commercial real estate guys, they used to have a big party at the Lodge every year, Christmas party.
Oh, sure, the Lodge. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Amy closed that place many a night.
Many a nights.
Yeah, they know her name. They know her
right.
best.
Oh, yeah. She's the norm of the Lodge. Yeah.
So anyway, one year, this guy who is, like I said, a big name in the commercial real estate, he actually got banned from the industry party for about 7 or 8 years. After 1 year, he couldn't find a cab coming from another party, so he just jumped in an idling limo and drove it to the Lodge and walked inside until about a half hour later the cop showed up asking about, hey, what about this stolen limo? And that got him kicked out, but then he got back into good grace. So
he was just ahead of the zip car, era. That's all. Thanks for the call, Andy.
What a great story.
Larry and Elmhurst.
Hey, good morning. Hey, WGN, speaking of that, they were like 10 hours late when that cop got shot with updates and that nobody was caught, blah, blah, blah. It was like they had to put that on. It was breaking news, but they didn't really want to do the story because it was a cop that got shot. But second point is there's a way to get around the semi-automatic gun law. Go to Washington gun law. Ron Beavis of Law Weapons in Naperville, he's got this piece you can put in an AR, as long as it's a gas-operated, where it changes it into a bolt action to get around the law. And then
Yeah, thanks for the caller. We have actually covered that, but okay. That's not exactly waxing philosophic about Chicago. It's more like preparing to go to Chicago, but that's not. Well, I guess that's sort of a commentary. Jim in LaGrange.
Hi, Dan. Hi, Amy. Yeah, we used to go down as a family. Aside from the politics, we'd put that aside for a day. We'd go down. We'd shop at Nordstrom. We'd have lunch at Bandero's, one of our favorite places.
Oh, I love Bandera.
Which is closed, right?
Closed. Best prime rib sandwich in the city.
Oh, let me tell you something. They made a chicken Moscow Mule too. But so we go down and we go shopping up and down a Magnificent Mile. We'd always stop at the 95th for cocktails and check out the view. It was fantastic. But we don't do any of that anymore. It really kind of changed when the mask mandates came into play, and then Black Lives Matter and Antifa people were literally locking arms and blocking entrances to the stores. And I'm like, nah, we just can't do this anymore. So now we just do a more tame suburban outing. But, to Amy's point and to another caller's point, too, it's moving west and it's heading our way. So are you really safe anymore? But we just choose not to insert ourselves into the city in any meaningful manner anymore.
Thanks for the call, Jim. Oh, yeah, no, I mean, the Pritzker Purge Law, remember, that's statewide. We had another example of what you can anticipate. Chicago man arrested for felonies 3 times in 10 days. He got arrested and charged with felonies 3 times, and each time he was let out because it was drug-related. And given that his first arrest was with 56 baggies containing heroin and 28 containing crack, I don't think it was for personal use. That's a supposition I'm offering. And then he got arrested again and again, and he's eligible for electronic monitoring, even though he's got 3 felony drug arrests in 10 days. So that's not limited. These individuals are not bound by the imaginary corporate boundaries of Chicago, at least in terms of mobility. Right, which is what we spent a lot of time trying to convince people of. But again, the beautiful lies, this nostalgia, just too powerful. Hey, you don't run down Chicago. You don't run down Illinois. And again, to describe reality is to run it down per these propagandists. Tom, Blue Island.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. My mom, one year, it was one of the years of Chicago Fest, planned a whole week to take the four of us downtown, my sister and my two brothers and I. We went to Chicago Fest one day, went to the beach one day, went to the Sears Tower another day, and the last day she took us to a real nice restaurant, and we loved it. Took the bus down there, the Archer Express, Kedzie bus, Archer Express, and it was awesome. And there was never even a hint of any kind of trouble, and that would never happen now. And the only time we go downtown now, at least two or three of us are packing, and we're only going down there to drink. A couple of them are coppers, but four big guys, and we still look around just to be safe that no one wants any trouble.
Thanks for the call, Tom. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Over 30 years ago, the challenge was accepted, and the Pride Stores has been redefining the convenience store experience throughout Chicagoland ever since. In the spirit of giving thanks this month to the surrounding communities for supporting the Pride Store's vision, you're invited to take advantage of their November promotion at the Pride of St. Charles. Buy 8 gallons of gas and receive 20% off your purchase at the Pride Beer and Wine Plus Spirits just next door. That's right, 8 gallons of gas gets you 20% off an amazing selection of local craft beers, high-end wines from Napa, Sonoma, Walla Walla, and Columbia Valley, plus a wide variety of Pride barrel picks. And don't forget about 93 Octane Brewery located inside the same building. Might as well get a pint while you shop. Offer ends Thursday, November 30th, and valid only at the Pride of St. Charles on Lincoln Highway. With 17 Chicagoland locations, visit thepridestores.com to find the one nearest you. That's thepridestores.com. The Pride Stores, not your typical convenience store.
It's the Season of Inspiration sales event at Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. If you're looking for a new or pre-owned Mazda, you need to visit Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. You'll find the Mazda you want, and the price you see is the price you get. There are no games, no gimmicks. And right now is a great time to buy a new Mazda with limited time Black Friday savings all month long. Right now, get 0.9% financing on select new 2024 Mazda CX-5s and select new 2024 Mazda CX-90s for 36 months. Or get 2.9% financing on new 2024 Mazda CX-50s for 36 months. And get your Mazda ready for winter by scheduling your next service appointment right online at WilkinsMazdaCars.com. Wilkins Mazda is conveniently located in Elmhurst off York Road and 290, just minutes from Oak Brook, downtown, and Schaumburg. Experience the next level of excellence at Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. Visit WilkinsMazdaCars.com. With approved credit through Mazda Financial Services for qualified buyers, see dealer for details.
It's getting cold again, and the best way to keep yourself warm this winter, it's 2 words, heat holders. Heat holders makes the warmest thermal socks that exist. They keep your feet 7 times warmer than regular cotton socks. Heat Holders uses their proprietary 3-stage process involving advanced insulating yarns, intense brushing, and long loops, resulting in socks that combine warmth, softness, and comfort. Heat Holders is like a thermostat for your feet, keeping your feet warm, comfortable, and dry. They also make the best-in-class hats, gloves, throws, and more. Give Heat Holders this season. Go to heatholders.com and use the code Dennis and save 15% off your order. Receive free shipping with any purchase of $25 or more. Don't freeze this winter. Go to heatholders.com, heatholders.com with the code Dennis. Go to heatholders.com today.
AM 560, The Answer.
I have an update. Got a message. Apparently, Cinnamon Bear not a pimp on the west side, as I thought.
What's Cinnamon Bear?
Sponsored by Webolt's department store, not Marshall Fields. Don't remember that. Chuck Shaden would replay the old-time radio series almost every year in Chicago. They also adapted the story with puppets for TV.
Oh, okay.
So how about that?
And Cinnamon Bear did not die in a drive-by. Sorry.
Yeah. Your favorite restaurant in Chicago today, right now. Go. Don't think about
Gina
it.
Giorgetti's.
Really?
Yeah, but yeah.
That's nostalgic.
Yeah. But I love that. They have great food. It's why? What's yours? You love Bandera, right?
Well, that's gone. My favorite restaurant in Chicago today, Lane Ahmad.
Never been.
Yeah,
Maybe
well,
I'll check it out.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Probably not. All right, be nice. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:38, remember how we broke that story about Evanston Township High School separating students by race for their AP classes? Yeah. And we were told that wasn't happening. The Wall Street Journal has a big expose on the Evanston Township High School doing exactly that over the weekend at 8:38.
And later, don't bring that to the beach, Dan. We got to get to it. It's fascinating. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
24 degrees, 8:33. The families of three 20-year-old Palestinian-American men shot in Vermont say they were victims of a hate crime.
Police have not identified a motive for the shooting, but a suspect was arrested Sunday near the scene of the attack. He's identified as a 48-year-old white male, said to have opened fire on the group without saying a word as they walked along a street. Two of the students are U.S. citizens, while the third is a legal resident. All were rushed to the hospital, with two in stable condition, the third suffering what was described as more serious injuries. I'm Michael Kastner.
Israel reportedly has issues with the list of hostages set for release by Hamas later today. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan says the White House still is working closely with Israel.
Any military action only takes place after civilians have been accounted for and have the opportunity to be in safety.
It's Cyber Monday and time to look for those hidden values and deals. Vacuum cleaners, pillows, AirPods, and mattresses are flying off the cyber shelves so far today. Authorities continue investigating a crash in Oak Lawn that left an off-duty Chicago police officer dead. The Cook County ME's office says Edwin Espinoza was killed in the single-vehicle accident yesterday morning at 95th and Harlem. And construction is set to begin today in a migrant base camp in Chicago's Brighton Park neighborhood. Nets over the Bulls, 118-109. Blues over the Blackhawks, 4-2. It's the Vikings and Bears on Monday Night Football. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Would you like to have your mortgage or rent paid for all of 2024? Yeah, that sounds like a Christmas miracle, doesn't it? Well, that's exactly what AM 560, The Answer, wants to do for you. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle to enter our Christmas Mortgage Miracle Contest. Enter once per day, every day, between now and December 20th, and you can have your rent or mortgage paid for all of next year. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about an opportunity for you to promote your business and to make a difference this Christmas season.
We're talking about our Food for the Poor Business Benefactor Program. We've partnered with Food for the Poor to provide life-saving food for thousands of children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean during this season of economic decline, unemployment, and rising food costs.
Food for the Poor is working with local partners to make sure these children and their families get the food they need to survive. And guess what? Your business can be a part of the solution. Become a Food for the Poor Business generous benefactor by making a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor. And thanks to a generous match, that donation will help feed more than 30 children for an entire year.
When you do that, AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you.
Call Anjanette Natowski at 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951. Or go to 560theanswer.com and click on the Give Food banner.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kathy Lee Gifford, and I've been blessed to have a wonderful career for a lot of years. People still come up to me all the time, and they go, "How are you, Kathy Lee? How's your va-va-voom?" And I laugh with them, and I tell them, still going strong, still taking my balance of nature every day, and telling all my friends and loved ones to do the same. Because it's balance of nature, changing the world, one life at a time.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code KLG.
Hi, it's Randy Donnelly from Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois, and I want to talk to you about your unused basement rec rooms. We all had them back in the 60s and 70s with jukeboxes, pinballs, and slot machines, Coca-Cola signs, and even gas pumps. We all had a great time in those days, but fast forward, and I'll bet you haven't gone down there in years. That's where I can help by turning those items into cash through Donnelly Auctions. We have thousands of customers online eager to bid on your items, and it's easier than you might think. Just give me a call at 815-923-7000, and I'll make those items fit in your wallet. Look us up online at DonnellyAuctions.com to see all of the items that we can sell for you. Give me a call today at 815-923-7000, and don't forget to check out the Donnelly Auctions Hour Saturdays at 1 o'clock on AM 560. Subscribe and check out the podcast too. I'm Randy Donnelly, and I'll see you at the auction.
Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. A service of Discover. Shouldn't you also get rewarded if you like using debit over credit? Well, no, you can with Discover Cashback Debit. It's a checking account that rewards everyone with cashback on everyday purchases. Terms at discover.com/cashbackdebit. Discover Bank, member FDIC. The Kennedy at 83 minutes, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Stop and go on the Ike right now between 9th Avenue and Ogden. 64 minutes in from 390 into the old post office. Stop and go on the Bishop Ford. You're seeing brake lights at Cottage Grove all the way into the Ryan Merge. And delays right now on Metra's Union Pacific Northwest line. Services suspended, stopped due to a train striking a pedestrian. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Breezy, quite cold. Sun and clouds and a high of 26. It's 24 right now. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, America First with Sebastian Gorka. Weekday afternoons at 3 on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Just a postscript on our brief conversation about favorite restaurant. I know why Gene and Giorgetti's is your favorite restaurant.
Why?
And I feel...
Because they have great food.
I feel compelled to tell our audience why.
Oh, no. What do you got, boss?
Because you and your gal pal, Lissa, are treated like the queens of England there.
Well, I mean, our picture was on the wall for a while.
Exactly.
And
it's all status.
We did go to Italy. Well, we ran into the owners when we were in Italy and then just hung out with them for the rest of the week.
Yeah, I've seen that routine in there, and it's like something out of Goodfellas. Everybody stands up and the kissing on the cheeks
Yes.
and all that. Yeah. So
Which
it's
table would you like, Mrs. Jacobson?
Yeah, right. It's the status thing.
No.
See, whereas me,
Yeah.
being humble and lovable, I'm just
so lovable. Yes.
I'm just another patron at Les Nomads. It's no fanfare, no big deal.
Uh-huh.
I'm there for the food and the experience.
Okay.
I don't need to be feted. See?
Is your picture on the wall?
No.
I
The
think not.
The picture's on the wall. No, because well, never mind.
It's
But
not on
no,
the wall
there are no
anymore, but-
pictures on the wall. There's art on the wall.
But
which
it's
would
just
be appropriate.
authentic. They haven't changed anything. There's still paneling on the walls, and it's just old school Italian, great steakhouse.
Yeah, I like Gina Giorgetti's, but yeah. All right. I'm just, I just want to make sure people understand that a lot of it's like what makes Gina Giorgetti's better than Chicago Cut or all the other steak. It's because that's where Amy and her friends get treated like royalty. That's why.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. All right. Which is part of the experience.
Exactly.
I grant you. All right. All right. So let's get to Evanston. So we broke the story on this show back over the summer about Evanston Township High School, which is completely run by race-hustling identitarians, and the academic performance shows, which is to say terrible, and most terrible for those they most focus upon, students of color, black and Latino. Boy, gee, that doesn't repeat itself everywhere. Chicago, for example. Anyway, we got wind that the AP classes were being segregated by race with special assistance for students who were black or Latino. Black AP math section, Latino AP math section, and facilitators, extra extra staff to instruct on the subject and the test. And this was sort of dismissed. Nobody really picked it up. You don't want to talk about it. And our friend Mark Perry, professor of econ emeritus at University of Michigan, picked up on the story, filed a civil rights complaint against Evanston Township High School because what they were doing was in violation of civil rights laws. And then they quietly changed the verbiage in the catalog to be compliant with Title IX and Title VI. But it was a nothing burger. Oh, really? Okay. Well, over the weekend, Wall Street Journal expose: to shrink learning gap, this district offers classes separated by race. High school in Evanston offers so-called affinity classes in which black and Latino students are separated from white students. Oh, I guess we weren't making it up. I guess it's a real thing. And now they're going to lean into it after the fact, after they're technically compliant, but certainly not substantively. Unless you think segregating students by race is something we should go back to? We should overturn Brown v. Board of Education? It seems like the leadership at Evanston Township High School would be compelled to support that if they were going to be intellectually consistent, although, again, that's not their strength. Battling the academic achievement gap between black, Latino, and white students. So now they have classrooms voluntarily separated by race. Wow. Nearly 200 black and Latino students at ETHS signed up this year for math classes and a writing seminar intended for students of the same race taught by a teacher of color. Because, as we know, only black teachers can teach black students, only white teachers can teach white students, and so forth, right? That's what you want to do? They volunteered. Hey, this is the students desiring it. Oh, really? Because that's what they'll say. So there was no influence exerted by the DI staff and the assistant superintendents and the superintendent and the school board and no. They weren't suggesting this would be a good idea. This is something the students all came up with by themselves because, you come out of the womb just saying, I want to just be with people who look like me and no one else, particularly when it comes to math and reading education. Sure. That's about the quality of the intellect you're dealing with here, these identitarian apparatchiks. The so-called, or the optional so-called affinity class is designed to address the achievement gap by making students feel more comfortable in class, according to district leaders, as if the district has any leaders. Monique Parsons is the Evanston School Board Vice President. Our black students are, for lack of a better word, at the bottom consistently still, and they're being outperformed consistently. It's not good. No, that isn't good. Wonder why that is. So they've gone this way. You can't do it mandatorily, so you do it voluntarily with some encouragement. Dina Luna, who leads Black Student Achievement Initiatives in Minneapolis, there's a model. A lot of times within our education system, black students are expected to conform to a white standard. Is that really, is that what it is? In our spaces, you don't have to shed 1 ounce of yourself because everything about our space is rooted in blackness. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Let me give you a better example of the leadership of the school district. This is a woman named Janae McAlpin-Toney. She's the director of equity for Evanston Township High School. This is an interview she did with a race-hustling author named Bettina Love. Look for this book if you see it pop up in your kids' curriculum, just like How to Be an Anti-Racist, Kendi, White Fragility, Robin DiAngelo, and all of the race-hustling, pro-segregationist tomes that we've talked for years about in this show. And the authors, too, Ta-Nehisi Coates. Janae McAlpin-Toney. All you need to hear is the question that she poses to this race-hustling author, Bettina Love. You don't need to hear the answer. This tells you everything you need to know right here.
One of my focuses is on whiteness and how it has pretty much destroyed education for Black students and just for students in general. And in your book, you talk a lot about whiteness, and even bigger than that, you talk about white rage. So can you give us a little bit of a background about whiteness and then talk to us a little bit about white rage that you highlighted in your book?
How do honky students keep the Black and Latino students down? Go. So that's the premise from which ETHS's leaders are starting. And you wonder why the results are the results? No not-so-soft bigotry of low expectations there. You're a victim. You're being oppressed by whiteness. And see those honky students around you? They're your oppressors. That's why you're falling behind in math or reading. Or that's why you don't get a 3, 4, or 5 on the AP history exam. Because you have to exist around these honkies. Is that the way you want to model it? Is that what we should do for K through 12 education? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
Why did it take the Wall Street Journal so long to write this article?
I don't know. In the 2021-2022 school year, 80% of white AP test takers earned a score of 3 or higher, which is usually what you need to get some college credit. So 80% of whites, 61% of Latinos, and 48% of blacks got a 3 or better. So here's another way to look at it. That means 20% of whites, 39% of Latinos, and 52% of blacks did not get a 3 or higher, didn't get the score you need for college credit. How about putting those kids together? How about putting the kids that are falling behind together regardless of their race, because they're having probably similar struggles, right? Is that an idea? I mean, in Illinois, we know from the recently released statewide report card, 1.85 million kids, about a third read at grade level in the state, about a quarter do math at grade level, again, in the state. So it seems to me there's a lot of kids, white, black, Latino, and other, who are struggling to graduate, at least with the requisite skills to go on to post-secondary education or the workforce, much less get the scores you need for an AP test for college credit. So what about just focusing on the good students, the students that are getting it, that are at or better where they need to be, maybe even enlisting some of them to be tutors for their classmates, regardless of race, and helping the kids, providing a little extra help for the kids that are falling behind, that are behind, regardless of race. That's another way to do it.
Right, but that makes too much sense.
Well, it makes too much sense in Evanston and most of Chicagoland and most of the K through 12 government school systems. Tony on the south side.
Yes, good morning. Listen, I was telling your screener, I really believe that it started when we accepted the Ebonics, when we went from the term ask to X. And at that particular point, things started going downhill.
Thanks for the call, Tony. I mean, it's just the larger point. I don't know that you pinpointed on a single instance. It's the larger philosophy about how kids learn and whether race is central to how they learn. And I would argue it isn't. And they would argue it is the most important factor. And there is no scholarship to support that claim. But it doesn't matter because it's not about scholarship. It's about politics. John in Florence, Wisconsin.
Well, I was watching some of the stuff that came out of Gaza, that Hamas puts out where they have the little 5 and 6-year-olds. Well, if I slit the throats of 5 Jews and I killed 10 Jews with a grenade, I got 15 dead Jews, and they jump up and down. And then I go back over to our country, and, putting this race in place of dead Jews may sound extreme, or the last purple-haired teacher with, she's non-binary, double queer, furry XYZ. And while we were sitting around on the sidelines, these people have taken over the colleges, which churned out the educators. And, here, as long as we're in this world, control the youth, you control the future.
Thanks, John. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Cold floors? The problem is probably down below in the basement or crawl space. Hi, I'm Roy Spencer with Permaseal. I'm happy to say that we can now help make your basement and crawl space warmer and therefore your upstairs more comfortable with our new product, PermaFoam. We spray this insulating foam between your floor joists, which will not only increase your energy efficiency, but will also deter insects, rodents, and is mold and mildew resistant. PermaFoam can be installed in just 1 day and is twice as effective as the old-fashioned fiberglass bats. For over 40 years, homeowners in Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana have trusted Permaseal to make their homes healthier and more valuable. Call a contractor you can rely on. Permaseal. 800-421-SEAL. That's 800-421-7325 or visit permaseal.net.
It's the Season of Inspiration sales event at Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. If you're looking for a new or pre-owned Mazda, you need to visit Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. You'll find the Mazda you want, and the price you see is the price you get. There are no games, no gimmicks. And right now is a great time to buy a new Mazda with limited time Black Friday savings all month long. Right now, get 0.9% financing on select new 2024 Mazda CX-5s and select new 2024 Mazda CX-90s for 36 months. Or get 2.9% financing on new 2024 Mazda CX-50s for 36 months. And get your Mazda ready for winter by scheduling your next service appointment right online at WilkinsMazdaCars.com. Wilkins Mazda is conveniently located in Elmhurst, off York Road and 290, just minutes from Oak Brook, downtown, and Schaumburg. Experience the next level of excellence at Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. Visit WilkinsMazdaCars.com. With approved credit through Mazda Financial Services for qualified buyers, see dealer for details.
It's hard to believe, but 2024 will be here soon. Before you get caught up in all the busy holiday season shopping and whatnot, ask yourself, what are you doing now to put your retirement in a better position for the future? Sean Thompson here for my friend Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group. Tom has prepared a 2023 year-end planning report. This report will show you ways to reduce your tax burden on your retirement savings, income strategies that don't depend on a volatile market, and ideas on how to protect and pass down assets to your loved ones. Tom has been helping build financial plans for retirements for over 2 decades, and he's sharing his knowledge and experience in this report. Call Tom today at 630-934-1855 and ask for the 2023 year-end planning report. That's 630-934-1855, or visit alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour right here on AM 560 The Answer, Saturday mornings at 9 a.m.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
You've heard me talk about my love of coffee over and over again. I'm here to tell you I have discovered one of the best brews I've ever tasted, and a company that I cannot wait to support. I'm here to tell you about Bone Frog Coffee. The Bone Frog is a sacred symbol in the SEAL teams. It honors those that gave the ultimate sacrifice, their lives. Bone Frog was founded by Tim Crook Shank, a former Navy SEAL and 25-year Navy veteran. Bone Frog honors the fallen, those who gave everything for our freedoms and our American way of life, by giving 10% of all the proceeds to benefit many of the U.S. Navy SEAL foundations. Here's what I need you to do. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. Get 10% off your first order. You will also get 15% off Bone Frog Coffee subscriptions. Just enter Liberty at checkout. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. That's bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. Taste one of the best brews you ever tasted. 10% of the proceeds go to benefit the Navy SEALs. You'll feel good. It's an American company. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care. And here's why. Not only is it open enrollment for a lot of people, it's also a time you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. For many families, switching to MediShare saves about $500 a month, which is a game changer for a lot of people. But what's more, they like it. MediShare has double the member satisfaction rate compared to health insurance. Double. MediShare is a proven thing, too. For over 30 years, it's a Christian community of more than 400,000 members. And here's the thing, too. If you join before November 30th and you mention the promo code SHARE, you'll get another $150 savings. So I'll give you the number here in a second, but just call. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. And again, the deadline's November 30th. So call now and you'll save even more. Here's the number, 844-47-BIBLE. That's 844-47-BIBLE. 844-47-BIBLE.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, well, we didn't get to it today, but can we get to it tomorrow, the beach story?
Of course.
Because I have a new, I think I know what line of work she's going to go into. But we'll save that for tomorrow. All right, thanks to Justin Kosick, Quinn McCarthy. We're back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Have yourselves a wonderful day. Bundle up. Now here's Mike Scott.
Construction begins today on a migrant tent camp in the Brighton Park neighborhood. WIND Chicago News Time is 9 o'clock.
11